Hello. You should be able to hear me now, right? I'm hoping. Hello. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so there's a couple of tricks and I'm learning them as I go, but I think I have it down. The only issue that I'm having lately is the fact that I'm operating with one hand and, well, a hand and a finger from another hand. So, but this is going to be a fun show. I just did a good test run and I recorded over an hour. It was pretty cool because I was trying to play with different screens and different programs and see if I can sort of like marry everything together. Cool. Thank you, Dimart. I hear you. And I saw you on X too. Thank you for adding me. Now I have you there and we can probably go back and forth. It's a lot easier than YouTube. But yeah, I did an hour and something minutes, and I went back and I said, well, let me just clean it up. And it turned out to be such a good video that I wanted to share it. So when I went back and tried to fix it and see which ones were the areas where, there were a little glitches or mishaps or whatnot. Oh my God, there's no sound. I recorded the entire thing without sound whatsoever. So what happens is, I don't know if you see the little circle bubble that is like, it shows that it's like, like moving. If that thing is not on, you guys can't hear me. So lesson learned. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to organize this in a way that it makes somewhat sense. And I'm not going to be looking at the chat, but for a second, but I'm going to switch it in a minute. Just give me a second. I'm going to show you a few things. And the first one is a report that was shared with me yesterday that came from a FOIA request, apparently. And it's the report where Trooper Guarino pretty much, he laid out and spelled out every single one of the reports and the findings that he did related to John O'Keefe's phone and Jen McKay's phone. To make it sort of like organized, what I decided to do was I decided to concentrate on John first, right? And tackle one at a time. So I've been doing a lot of like site work on the site. So as I go, like I'm finding and auditing parts of what he's sharing in this report, and whatever it is that it doesn't make any sense, I'm putting notes down. So I'm sort of like doing an audit report of his report so I can put notes of what it is that I find so I can go back and sort of like measure it or validate it or audit it further and see if I was right or if he was right or if I'm just going crazy. So I'm going to see if I can show you this one now. The way that this is going to go is that I'm going to be showing multiple pages at the same time. And I don't think I'm going to have an issue with that. I think I have that down. I mean, it's a little challenging because of the hand, but I think I have it down. So if let me see, I'm going to see. Image file, video file, extra camera. I think it's this one. So, okay. So if I go and I switch from that to this, let me see if you see it. Yeah, perfect. So this is gonna get better as I practice more. I think, oh my gosh, RD, hello. I think it's gonna get better. I can see the chat every now and then when I flip from one of the screens to the other. But we're going to go back to the Trooper Guarino because this is the one where I found a lot of information and I was able to put it together in this document. And then when you look at this document, I'm going to show you how I did this because every single one of those marks is where Trooper Guarino says that Karen went. Now, the problem that Trooper Guarino has is that maybe he didn't think that people were going to check what he did and were going to cross-reference it with data that is actually, already validated. It's data that comes from Google Earth. It's data that comes from distances, like driving times. What happens if I'm driving from the Canton Library at this time and whatnot? Now, he also didn't think that we were going to have this video available, because this video was the one that they were trying to hide in trial 1 and 2. Remember, that became available back in when Corey Hopkins shared the first FOIA request, and the first FOIA dump, where she requested that all of these videos were released. Well, we have very important information. One is that the information that Guarino is telling us, that so-and-so got to a point or a location in so many minutes based on Google this and Google that and whatever, is absolutely wrong. From the get-go, from the beginning, the whole situation here, it's being that Guarino, Norfolk County, Commonwealth, and all of them have tried to accommodate the timelines to fit their own narrative, their own theory, because it's convenient to them. Why? Because if they were able to push it a little further, they could justify or maybe not place somebody at the same time and stop incriminating people that actually are part of this whole thing, rather than exonerating the ones that actually did it. So what we're going to do is we are going to play with this, and for as long as you guys, we can do this. I think we can try to do this in an hour and 15 minutes if I hurry up. So without any further ado, we're going to finish. But before that, I learned another trick. So I'm going to play the trick. So are you guys ready? How many are we? 5? Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. We got 5 people in the house. Yay! We got 5 people in the house. So I found a couple of widgets and I'm going to be using them throughout. But let's go read this. Okay, so he starts saying, my name is Nicholas Guardino, blah, 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 blah. Irrelevant. The first boo-boo that I found is that he says that not only did he analyze John O'Keefe's, but also, look here, the victim, the suspect, and witnesses. I have no idea what witnesses is he talking about, because he's talking plural. He's not talking singular. So he's talking plural. So I want to know, what other witnesses did he analyze? So he's saying that he used Cellebrite, Physical Analyzer, and Axiom Magnet Forensic softwares. And that as part of the evidence, the evidence discovery, I created a Cellebrite UFED reader report of the entire content of the cell phones to provide to the defense. But check this out. So he says, after receiving the UFED reader's report, the defense data forensic expert requested the raw extraction files to review. That person, just in case, I'm not sure whether you know or you don't know, but that person is Mr.
And what is United States Forensics?
Sure. We're a digital investigation firm. We have, we're licensed in Florida and Michigan, but we do cases across the country.
All right. And again, I'd ask you to keep your voice up, only because we have an air conditioner there and we have jurors behind me. That
okay. I'll do my best, sir.
Yeah, as best you can. Now, you are president of that company, sir?
I am.
In addition to managing the company, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I perform the majority of the investigations. I specialize in computer, cell phone, cloud, auto video, metadata media, surveillance systems, things of that nature.
Do you work in conjunction with others?
Certainly.
Describe that, please.
Certainly. Well, we do take cases from individuals. I prefer to take cases from attorneys. We've also worked with numerous public defenders. We've worked with a federal public defender. We've worked with law enforcement. So quite a variety of clientele.
Civil cases?
Yeah, civil and criminal. I would put it about 60% criminals, 40% civil.
Okay. And on the criminal side, you've done both law enforcement and defense, correct?
Yeah, most of the law enforcement ones, though, have been more geared towards civil. It's when they had it, perhaps they were party to a suit, and it was just improper for them to use their own experts. So that's where we've provided assistance.
Now, how long have you been involved in the field of data forensics?
Sure. Well, my first case and testimony was 28 years ago. I'm not even sure we called it data forensics back then, but that was 28 years ago. And then about 16 years ago, started the company United States Forensics and been full-time in the industry since that point.
All right. Yeah, you'd mentioned that you'd actually testified for the first time 28 years ago. That would have been 1996, if my math is correct?
That's correct.
You were qualified as an expert witness at that time?
Yes, sir.
In order to have been qualified as an expert witness, you must have had experience before that?
Yeah, well, specifically in computers. We didn't do much with cell phones back then. By about a decade or so in computer IT, networking, we actually built a line of computers, a lot of repairs. So I was pretty deep into the computer IT world at that point.
Okay. And you say you formed your company in 2006?
Correct.
And you work full-time, part-time? What's your schedule?
It's been full-time ever since.
Would you describe for the jury, please, your educational background, your training, certifications, etc.?
Why don't we break it down into smaller segments?
Sure.
Okay.
First, with regard to the training that you've received.
Sure. So that would have to do with Associates of Digital Forensics.
Associates Digital Forensics.
That would more be your education, right? You received an associate's degree in digital forensics?
Correct.
Okay, so why don't we start with education, since you did?
Okay. Well, that was part of the work and more or less the formal training to get that degree. The certifications, which again, this all kind of goes hand in hand, but the certification training would be the CCE, which is certified computer examiner from the International Association of Criminal Investigation Specialists.
Wow.
I also have a certification as a computer crime related investigator, cybersecurity, as well as computer first responder. The training aspects over the last 18 years on really a daily basis, when I've worked, I've participated in listservs, done research into the newest developments in the computer forensics, and really on usually a weekly basis, we'll target some training seminar. I found in this.
I don't want to bother you guys with that. What I wanted to do was create some sort of a baseline so we can compare these two people. And I wanted you to listen about Richard Green and how he contacted Celebrite. He owns his own company. He has an associate's degree and further degree and built his company since 2006. But he's been in the industry since 2096. Now, compare with Ian Whiffen.
Has changed. Make sure you understand what is now happening on that device.
Let me see if this
in the
is the
digital
one.
forensics team.
And that might not be it. So, but I'm going to bring it up at some point. This is the second one. This is the testimony in regards to the second trial, if I'm not mistaken, and not the first one. But Ian Whiffen said himself that he has not taken, ever since he started with Celebrite, he had not taken any certification or any training whatsoever. I don't know
in 2013,
why. Do I have it here?
Pursued several qualifications
here we go.
related to digital forensics, and just continued in that role until 2019, 2020, when I left the police agency and began working for Celebrite.
While you were working at the police agency and began your career analyzing data, were there special classes that you took?
There were. In order to be a forensics examiner in Canada, you have to take a 3-week foundational course in Ottawa, basically covering the basics of digital forensics. And then from there, other courses are available that would focus on things like cell phones, would focus on how to get.
Okay, so to understand a little, and I know comparisons are ugly. I hate doing that. I mean, this is not a beauty pageant, right? This is not a comparison. This is not like killing each other. But in reality, if you're going to bring an expert, you cannot discard an expert that has been involved in the industry since 1996, has his own company since 2026, has had an associate's degree in digital forensics, has gone through all of this training and certification, and was the person who actually contacted Celebrite to inquire, to make sure about something, because he wanted to make sure that you cover all of your bases, right? Especially when you are investigating, analyzing an artifact, and you want to understand the nature of what could have happened, why didn't it register, why did it save on the WAL file, backlog file, why did it need to stay on the C whatever. You need to understand, right? So it's going to get more interesting, but I'm going to tell you, I found that this is where everything starts. This is where this mess started. Wait. Here we go.
To get data from different types of devices. And then there's industry qualifications that can be sought as well, where you can focus on particular types of device or particular types of data.
Okay, so
Software help you look into the data on the phone and analyze it?
It does, yes.
What is the role of a digital forensic analyst?
Typically, the analyst would take the data that's been extracted from a device such as a cell phone, process that in software such as a physical analyzer that Cellbrite create, and use that information to filter, to search, and to create a report for the investigator that would allow them.
okay, so that's what he does now. I want to get back to the first part where he asked him, he introduced himself. Wait.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes.
Would you kindly introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Ian Mathin. I'm a digital forensics examiner and decoding product manager for Cellbrite.
You just mentioned Cellbrite. Is that where you work?
It is, yes.
And you're
Yeah.
a forensic examiner.
That's where I cook.
Can you tell us a little bit about Cellbrite, where you work?
Yes, Cellbrite provides digital forensic solutions to customers globally for access and decoding of digital artifacts from devices.
Where would you find a digital system? Is that resigned to a phone or is it all systems?
Oh my God.
Typically, Cellbrite focuses on phones or iPads, but we do have some additional devices that we can also interrogate: computers, vehicles, things like that.
So simply, what is Cellbrite?
Cellbrite is a digital intelligence company.
Do they use a certain type of software? Do they brand a certain type of software?
Yeah, we create our own software to access devices and to
Now
decode the
you do.
data that we pull from devices.
5 years ago,
So
you didn't.
essentially, does that software help you look into the data on the phone and analyze it?
It does, yes.
What is the role of a digital forensic analyst?
Typically, the analyst would take the data that's been extracted from a device such as a cell phone, process that in software such as a physical analyzer that Cellbrite create, and use that information to filter, to search, and to create a report for the investigator that would allow them to see what happened on the device at the time being investigated.
How long have you been involved in analyzing data, sir?
Here we go.
I started my career in digital forensics in 2013.
2013, he started his career in digital forensics.
Can you take us back to the beginning of your career and tell us a little bit about how you became involved in learning about analyzing data?
Yeah. Tell us,
Certainly.
Mathin.
I spent 5 years as a frontline police officer in the UK. During
So he was a law enforcement police officer in the United Kingdom. Hello?
the 2000s. In 2009, immigrated to Canada and continued policing.
So from there, he jumped in a boat and he went to Canada.
Frontline officer in Calgary before
He continued to be a police officer in Calgary, Canada.
joining the digital forensics team in 2013. Pursued several qualifications related to digital
Digital forensics team in 2013 for the same Calgary situation.
forensics and just continued in that role until 2019, 2020, when I left
Wow.
the police agency and began working for
So let's put it into perspective. This trial, this murder situation was in 2022, right? January 29th, 2022. He, until 2020, he was just a police officer. Okay. So I don't know if you put this into
That's all right.
perspective here.
While you were working at the police agency and began your career analyzing data, were there special classes that you took?
There were. In order to be a forensic examiner in Canada, you have to take a 3-week foundational course
3 weeks.
in Ottawa, basically covering the basics of digital forensics. And then from there, other courses are available that would focus on things like cell phones, would focus on how to get data from different types of devices.
This is
And then there's
adorable.
industry qualifications that can be sought as well, where you can focus on particular types of device or particular types of data.
Okay, chop chop.
Does software in this field continually change?
It does. Every time an update is released to an application or to an operating system, there's the opportunity for the foundation of that software to change. And from a forensics point of view, you have to re-understand what has changed, make sure you understand what is now happening on that device, and provide that information to the users.
As you've progressed through the field, do you continue to take classes?
I've not taken a class now since I actually joined Cellbrite and did the basic foundational courses that Cellbrite offer. But prior to that, I was doing courses across the industry.
Do you teach courses?
Not one single course since 2022. I don't. And the first trial was in 2024. Not one single course.
I do teach webinars.
But yet the industry changes, right? I mean, the indexes change and everything changes and everything modernizes and upgrades, right? So you have to continue to like keep afloat with everything that's happening. It's almost like doctors, but he's telling you that since he started with Cellbrite in 2022, he hasn't taken one single class other than the core induction classes that they give to all the new employees. This is awesome.
I don't teach any actual courses, although some of my research and some of my tools are taught to examiners in many of the industry standard qualifications which users seek.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever write papers about the subject that are published?
I do. So I have a blog where I publish my research. Sometimes some of those become papers which get peer reviewed and distributed in more academic channels.
So when one of your papers is peer reviewed, can you tell us what that means?
Yeah, essentially, other forensics examiners would read over the paper that I've written, do their own testing, compare their testing and research to what I've conducted, and make sure that what I've said is consistent with their findings. And presuming that what they find is the same as what I found, then they would agree that it's a valid document and it gets shared.
Take us now to Cellbrite. When you began working at Cellbrite, what did you do?
When I started there, I was considered the senior digital intelligence analyst. My role was to help the developers of the software understand the role of a digital forensics examiner, what an examiner needs from the tool, what an examiner wants to do with the tool, and how they want to use it. And then since then, I've progressed to the decoding product manager.
So he wasn't any senior, nothing. What that role is called, and I'm not sure which industries do you all work, but that is what a product development consultant is. The job duties include simply conducting like product and market research, and you collaborate with any other cross-functional team person expertise, right? And what you do is you are the end user. You act like the end user. Are you going to be able to provide feedback? Like, does the product need to be reviewed? And in this case, it's the tool, right? You want to launch a platform to conduct, I don't know, evaluations for promotions for employees in a multinational company that has 5,000 people in 17 different countries. So what you do is you get the person, you get the end user, one of the end users, and you start working on ideas of how are you going to develop the software on that program. And that person is an integral part of that issue. I mean, of that project, because what you want to do is get that person to give you, nope, this is not how I want to use it, or this is not going to work for me. Or so what you do is you clarify, you create, you let them know what are the challenges that platform is going to have. What is it that you're going to be able to use it to obtain the most, right, the most return for you, and what parts don't work. That is what a product consultant responsibility across the board in any freaking industry is. That's what he was. It's not a senior, whatever, what he calls it. No, he's full of crap. So from there, this is how he got into the Cellbrite, right? Because he came from the Canada, Calgary, whatever, law enforcement. So then he found a way to sort of like jumpstart his career in forensics, plus all the trainings that he has taken. And then he started
manage
position.
the backlog of software applications that we
And don't get me wrong, it looks like he was very techy to begin with, and maybe that is a hidden talent that he had, and he developed his own app. But you cannot tell me
decide how
that
we
you
should
can
support those
compare
applications.
the experience that Within brings to the table to the experience that Richard Green brings to the table. Now, it is important, I'm on a roll here. It is important to point out two things. When in testimony, it says Ian Griffin pretty much pulled a Matt and Jen McCabe here because he put himself ahead of the game. And we're going to listen to him when he says it. Richard Green contacted Cellebrite. He contacted Cellebrite because he wanted to double check, cross-reference what he was researching. And what he was researching was whether the artifact of the house loan to die on the cold actually occurred on or about 2:27:40 in the morning, and whether it was deleted or just simply stayed on a state where it got recorded on the wall file, right? And she didn't produce it, she didn't hit it, she didn't complete the search, whatever it is that she did. But that's why Richard Green called Cellebrite. Now, when Cellebrite picks up the phone, and it was Leonardo de los Santos, you can look him up, he shows up on Cellebrite, and he's one of the technical whatever intake. When you call the phone and you ask for help in any area, he is the guy that is on the other side of the phone. He takes a call, he figures out how to channel it, who is the most appropriate individual resource within the company to send that call to. And what he does is he transfers the call. So Richard Green, let's put it into context, right? Richard Green calls Cellebrite, and he says, well, I'm trying to get a hold of brother in regards to something, an artifact, blah, blah. And Leonardo de los Santos goes, oh, yeah, wait a minute, that's so-and-so and whatever. So-and-so and whatever, Leonardo sends Richard Green to whatever. And at that point, Within didn't pick up the phone. Somebody took the call. And when somebody took the call, wrote down everything that Richard Green said, right? I want to talk and I want to check about this artifact. It looks like it was deleted, but we're trying to figure out whether it's deleted or it wasn't. Was the search completed? Was the search conducted on or about or prior to 2:27:40? Because the apparent deletion happened around 2:27:40 in the morning in January 29, 2022, right? So the person takes the notes. And blah, 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 and she puts it there. And then they send it on an email, and that email gets distributed. Guess where does Ian Whiffing call Richard Green back? He doesn't. Do you think that anybody called Richard Green back? He doesn't. Do you know what Ian Whiffing and his team did? That PR, apparently, and Ian Whiffing saw an opportunity for what? To be outsourced. Outsourced how? As a company, as an expert company that provides relevant backup, support, information, and resources to who? Not to Richard Green. Richard Green is the sole proprietor of his company that he built and he launched in 2016. Do you think that if they had a choice of who is it that they want as a customer, is it Richard Green or is it Norfolk County? Who do you think they're going to pick? Hello? Hold on. Am I yelling? You guys need to let me know if I am. Okay, wait. I got to go back to the messages. Okay, let me see. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me see. I'm going to stop for a second so I can read this real quick. And it says, second trial as Ian looks a lot different compared to trial one. Yeah. And because, by trial one was his training, right? He already know what's expected of him and what to say and what not to say and how to navigate among the objections. He already knows that Judge Beverly Canoni loves him and finds him handsome. And she wants to speak French with him. Je ne parle français. And she wants to just, I don't know, go to Canada for lunch. Who knows? So 3-week course. Yeah, I mean, absolutely deplorable. The fact that they're comparing the credentials between Ian Whiffin and Richard Green. It is absolutely deplorable. So what surprises me is the Canadian standards were, and the problem is Canadian education, like middle school and high school, they're very high. There are some kids that can complete, just like here, like you can take classes that are credited towards college. So before you know it, you're already done. So the highest standards in high school for the kids in Canada are, they have very good schools there. So what surprises me is, okay, we read that one. And then shame on you, Ian, fellow officer died and you were not honest in your digital analysis of devices, as well as not 100% straightforward. Well, understand. Well, and the thing is, at the end of the day, they're servicing a client, and that's the part that I wanted everybody to understand. So when you identify an opportunity to service, to get a contract, to cash in, to actually send a bill, I am able to do this for you for this much. It is different than when a client seeks out your services, right? Because it is the client that is in need for somebody to provide answers or expertise in regards to a problem, X or Y, that they have. So we're trying to get a client, we're trying to hire a company to give us information in regards to forensic data, and we're calling from Massachusetts, Norfolk County, and we're going to explore 3 to 4 companies. Whoever is the lowest bid, that's the company we're going to go for. That's not what they did. And that's what Norfolk County was supposed to do. Because as a government entity, that's what they're supposed to do. It's part of their regulations and their laws and their process and their standard operating procedures that they outsource. And they have to follow the outsources process to get 3 to 4, 5 companies to tell them who is available and who can provide solution for that problem that they have, and how much will they charge. That's not what happened here. Richard Green called Cellebrite. Cellebrite took the call. Cellebrite passed the information to PR and Within. Within never called back Richard Green in the beginning to provide the services to Richard Green as requested. They learned about this debacle from Richard Green, and what they did was they went ahead and contacted Hankey's so cute about pedigree. He likes the headlines, maybe not so much about competence. Yeah. And what they did was they called Norfolk County, the investigators directly, which is an area that Ian Weaving feels very comfortable in, right? Because he's what? A former whatever, right? The misconduct with digital is larger and broader than anyone. Yes, absolutely. I mean, everybody, the problem with this is that the few of us who know a little about it, right? We are absolutely 100% certainty that this is the whole meat of the process. This is how they manage to manipulate, shift, and twist what they needed to do so they could get away with whatever it is that they wanted to get away. Why was Richard Green excluded from trial? To recall some kind of dirt someone found, but some don't remember. We're going to hear a little piece of it. I can't remember, to be honest. I do know that they sort of tried to like discard him, like say that he wasn't competent enough or that he was full of, I don't know. But that guy is a walking Bible when it comes with how can you beat 20-something years of digital forensics, phone expertise with somebody who just took the onboarding courses and went from Great Britain to Canada, from law enforcement to law enforcement, and then play with the computers. And I like coding, and I'm going to develop my own app. And I'm going to use this as a trampoline so I can position myself with, come on, man. The people who choose the professions, this kind of professions, like, it's like, if you think about government, right? Public servants, they do it because they have a calling, and their calling is to help, is to serve, is to, sometimes it's not so much the pay or the compensation, and some of them are compensated very well, but the normal public servant isn't. The normal military person isn't. The normal military person or public servant does what they want to do because that's their calling. So in the case of this guy, now I see a report yesterday. Where did that come from? Now I see a report yesterday that, and I'm waiting until somebody sends it to me, that says that the Celebrate report has a different logo and it comes from a different company. And I'm going, wait a minute. How does this have a different logo and it comes from a different company? How does that happen? Hold on. How does that happen? Well, apparently they used an outsourced company which belongs to Ian Whiffen. Can you guys hear me? And that's who generated the report that Celebrate turned in regards to John O'Keefe's phone. Green was arrested on something like decades ago. Arrested? Really? I never heard about that. I don't think I've heard about that. But I'm going to look it up. Has Richard Green been arrested? But anyhow, so let's keep up with Ian Whiffen for a second, just for a second, so you can hear how he puts himself forward and said that, well, afterwards I called Richard Green. You didn't have to call him afterwards. You were supposed to call him the minute that
and how that information should look to the users.
Do you do research?
I do still do research, yes. It's not my primary function within Celebrate, but it's something that I've continued to do throughout my career.
Have you ever done any programming?
Yes, again, I'm not an official programmer with Celebrate, but I do program as well. And I have several tools which I've written myself for the last few years, since around 2015, tools that I wrote to do the things that the vendor tools didn't do, and to offer examiners things that the vendor tools didn't offer. And I continue to maintain those tools as a learning opportunity for myself, and also because other examiners can make use of these same features.
Mr. Whiffen, have you ever testified in courts regarding forensic examination of data?
I have, yes.
And can you share a little bit about that?
I've been qualified as an expert in Canada, Australia, the UK, in total around 20 times.
I want you to take us now to the Celebrate software. We talked a little bit about it. I don't want to go into too much detail, but can you help us explain how software works like Celebrate software?
Yes, so fundamentally, when we've got data from a device, it's a series of files, a series of databases, property lists, all manner of different structured data. The software that we create knows where these files exist, knows how to read these files and what the data inside them means, and provides a clear view for the user to view that data. As an example, if you were to look at the SMS database on a device, all you would see is a long list of messages that don't really have an easy way to interpret or to read them. Our software takes that information, converts it into a conversational view so that as a user, you can read the data, you can see who sent what message, what time it was sent. We can do decoding and decryption of various different types of security to give the user as much information as possible.
Is there other software available in addition to Celebrate?
There's multiple vendor supplied tools and multiple tools available that are maintained by users in the community like myself.
Does a forensic examiner, should they rely simply on the software program, or is there more to do other than the program itself?
The software program is great at finding the data and displaying the data, but I always maintain it's the role of the examiner to actually understand what that data means and provide context and validation for what that data means, making sure that the end user of the report, whether that's the investigator, a judge or a jury, can understand what that data actually means rather than just taking it at face value.
See, he went back to describing what he used to do on his first role, that he takes back the information and gives it to the end user so they understand how the end user is going to use that software. He's switching. It's almost like he's not sure which role he's in now.
Value from the software.
Does the software create a report that you can look at that manages or
Oh my God.
arranges some of the data that you can see?
It does. It just creates a list of all of the results that the examiner wants to include in the report.
So the software can produce a report, but the examiner goes beyond the report and looks into the data itself?
The examiner can and should go beyond what the program provides.
Let's turn now to your involvement in this case. Can you share with us when you first became aware of
Okay.
the data in this case and how that came about?
Yes, it was actually one of the public relations managers at Cellbrite who reached out to me or to my team because he'd heard about this case and about the.
Did you hear that? Did you all hear that? So Richard Green calls Cellbrite. Cellbrite calls, the technical guy, Leonardo de los Santos, picks up the phone. Google him. Leonardo de los Santos, Cellbrite. He's got a profile on LinkedIn. He's all over the place. He picks up the phone. He sends in the inquiry. The PR person picks it up. They already know that it goes to digital forensics because that is the nature of Richard Green's call, right? They send it. The PR takes it. Ian Whiffing takes it. And what they agree is that they're going to call Norfolk County directly rather than getting back to the person who inquired to begin with. Listen to this crap.
The confusion regarding a timestamp.
It wasn't a confusion. It was a question in regards to the WAL file and the other file, which is the C whatever. What is it called? Oh my God, what is it called? Oh my God, can somebody tell me? The knowledge C. So there are different databases and everything is supposed to be between the knowledge C database and the call history, the store data and the wallet, right? But he called because it didn't look like it was completed. To him, because it was on the write-ahead log file, it looked like it was never completed. Because what happened was, even if that search happened on or about or before 2/27/40, which is the time in which the search was deleted, if it was deleted, it wasn't showing, but it was showing on the WAL file. And that was the question that Whiffing probably had. And you, instead of calling him back and servicing a caller who was calling, you decided to pick up the phone, work with your PR, and see if you can land a business contract that could generate thousands for Cellbrite and serve Norfolk County instead. That was your choice.
And requested if we could look into it and find out what the confusion was and how we could respond to it. At that point, I contacted the investigators to get more details.
Did you learn that a consumer had called about a question relative to a report produced by the software?
Yes, there was both the troopers who had requested information about this particular artifact and also a private forensics examiner, Richard Green.
And when Richard Green reached out to your company, what specifically was the question or issue?
He reached out to the tech support team, asking basically, there's a timestamp that doesn't make sense. I need to understand what this timestamp means.
What is the time?
You are such an idiot. You are such an idiot. But you knew you were able to get away with anything you said because you knew that Richard Green would never confront you about your misstatement, right? You knew you could dodge that one very well, right? Are you still in Canada? Whiffing? Are you? You're such an idiot. I hate people like that. No integrity whatsoever. I hate people like that. I don't hate people, but I really dislike it.
Yeah, even if you took like 6 months off, you would start to get behind in this business. It changes that rapidly.
Yeah,
and
it does.
You really need to do continual training.
Okay, and again, your voice trailed off a little bit at the end, so
You have to do continued training.
I'm sorry to keep reminding you, but I just want to make sure everybody hears. With regard to the amount, your caseload at USA Forensics, can you give the jury some idea of how many cases you handle on a yearly basis or have handled historically?
Yeah, we average
I'd say between 100 and 120 cases a year. We
Jesus.
probably get inquiries to about 3 times that amount.
Wow.
And have you testified as an expert witness in the area of computer forensics since that 1996 first
Yeah,
appearance?
we testified about 24 times in various state and federal courts.
And when you say various states and courts, is that state court, federal court, both?
Both.
Both in the United States of America. Now, let's listen to this bozo.
The time which is attributed to an artifact. So it should intentionally be when something happened on that device, we would show a timestamp associated to it.
Can you tell us what an artifact is?
An artifact would be any piece of data that we pull from that device. So it could be a text message, it could be a location point, it could be a photograph.
So if I had photographs on my phone, would each photograph be considered an artifact?
It would, yes.
Would the date and time I took the photograph be considered an artifact?
I'd consider that a property of the artifact.
And if I had a phone call or a text message, those would be considered artifacts?
Yes.
When I look at my phone and I see a call log or a name, does that tell me all the information about that call?
When you look on the phone itself?
Yes.
No, there's usually a lot more information in the background of the phone that's available to the forensics examiner, which the user wouldn't necessarily see on the device.
And so when you're looking at an artifact, a phone call, a text message, whatever it may be, and you see it on a report, if you want to know more detail, where it came from, when it was developed, when it started, is that what a forensic examiner would do, to look into the data to try to identify that other information?
Yes, you can see what other information is available. You can see if there's any information that's been deleted that can be recovered. And you can validate the information that's there and make sure that the timestamps are being interpreted correctly and that they mean what you think they mean.
You told us you got a call from a consumer or a forensic examiner, Richard Green, about a timestamp. What type of timestamp? For what type of artifact was this timestamp?
It was related to an internet query.
And so there was an internet query on a phone that had a timestamp, and this gentleman, Mr. Green, had a question about it.
He did. He wanted to know how accurate the timestamp was in relation to when the internet query was made.
Did you look into the question?
So in other words, he's making Richard Green looks like he didn't know what the heck this artifact was about, and he was clueless, and he was reaching out to the big dogs so they could solve the problem, because almost like if Richard Green was incapable of doing that himself. But listen to this expert. September of 2022. So this is early on. I don't know if you remember, but when I shared the when I shared the report that I showed first from Guarino, it said May, remember? May 2023. So let's listen.
Encapsulated into a single file. In this case, it was a zip file.
Did you examine that data?
I did.
What were your goals during your examination of John O'Keefe's phone? What were you looking for?
Well, initially what was reported was the location data. We wanted to get an idea of when he had arrived and anything else that we could tell from that as far as location.
And when you say when he arrived, do you remember the location that you were asked to learn when he arrived?
34 Fairview.
In Canton?
Yes, sir.
All right. Were you able to determine, as a result of your examination, approximately when his phone arrived at 34 Fairview Road, according to the location data?
Yes, sir.
And how did you do it?
Sure. Well, I say we, so that's proverbial we. I extracted the location cache data, which is stored in the on your phone, and it's in the certain location. We exported that out, and then we use a tool called CellHawk, and we import it in there so it can take literally, thousands of data points and automate that process to specific GPS locations, and just as importantly, the range of accuracy that that location is reporting.
Okay. So according to the process that you underwent, what time did the location data indicate that John O'Keefe's phone arrived at 34 Fairview on January 29th, 2022?
So the first one right to the driveway was at 12:24 and 28 seconds.
12:24 and 28 seconds.
Correct.
Now, if I asked you to filter John O'Keefe's location data within an accuracy of 3 feet using CellHawk, could you try to do that?
Yes, sir.
In fact, did you try to do it?
I did.
When?
Last night.
Who asked you to do that?
You did, sir.
Let me approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
So I placed that document before you. Could you familiarize yourself with that and look up at me when you're done?
All right.
Recognize that?
I do.
What is it?
So this is a screenshot from the CellHawk program. It has a kind of a central box here that says database settings, and this is where we apply a certain filter.
And what filter did you apply?
This was for the accuracy of less than or equal to 3 feet.
With regard to what?
John O'Keefe's location data.
Is that an exact? Is the data on that document exactly what you received when you used the CellHawk program to filter the data?
Yes, sir.
I would offer that, Your Honor.
No objection.
And what can you tell us about what you learned from that exhibit?
Well, I'll just use the pointer here, might help. You can see up in this part here where this is where we apply the filter for 3 feet or less. That'd be the accuracy. And then it actually returns 0 results, meaning all of the data within there had an accuracy rating higher than that 3 foot. It could be 5 meters or 10 meters, but none of it was granular enough at a 3 foot or less accuracy level.
Okay. And if you had input an accuracy within, say, 500, what would you find?
Yeah, you would see then a large number of circles, each circle representing the meters that the accuracy would be related to. What's really important to understand, though, is you don't want to look at just the middle of the circle. That accuracy indicates it could be anywhere in the circle. So if you saw one and it encompassed 2 or 3 houses, you could only draw that inference of somewhere in that circle. So it's kind of like how the hurricane, they say don't just look at the cone, right? It could be different than that. Also, the accuracy, this is Apple's best guess of what the accuracy is. So it could actually be different than that. It's Apple is using a number of services, and they're giving back the best estimation that they can for the accuracy.
Okay. So we've talked about the location cache data and where it put John O'Keefe's phone in terms of arriving at 34 Fairview, but was there also Apple Health data on John O'Keefe's phone during that time?
Certainly, yes.
Is Apple Health data generally accepted within the forensic science community as being reliable?
Well, the Apple Health data comes from something called HealthKit, but it's integral to the iOS system. So anyone that has an iPhone probably seen Apple Health data, and it's known to have extremely valuable data that the forensic tools work with and present to us. The degree of accuracy, it depends on the type of data that's being pulled out on the artifacts. For example, steps are known to have an accuracy of around 98% on the actual steps occurring.
So if the Apple Health data returns, for instance, steps, 20 steps within a certain time period, 98% of the time Apple's going to be right?
That's what studies have shown.
All right. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
So
We have placed another document before you. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, I do. This is this lists out Apple Health data for that was from John O'Keefe's phone on January 29th, 2022.
All right. That came from the data that you received, the image file of John O'Keefe's phone, correct?
That is correct.
I would offer that, Your Honor.
No objection.
Hey, Mr. Green, are you wearing the right glasses to be able to see the scene?
Yeah, I probably need bifocals here. I keep switching glasses, but
Are you able to read what is on the screen? If it's easier, you can look on your document in front of you. It's page 2, record 2.
yeah, I think I'm going to have to to do that. I can probably still see good enough to do the laser one. I'm sorry, which record is this you're looking at?
Page 2, record number 2.
Okay, yes, I have that in front of me.
What does record number 2 show on page 2 of John's Apple Health data?
Sure. So this is the number of meters. It's listed as 87.74, and the
Okay, I'm gonna pause this because I need to point out something to you guys. So, are we all here? Are we all? Let me see. Remember, said, don't forget, Matt McCabe is or was partner. Yeah, his company is called Elevate. He owns it with one of his brother, and he's got partners there. So that's old news. He's had that company for a long time. To date, he has had government grants given to him. He has an address in Canton and an address in Boston. And this is what they do. It's not only software development, it's more of an IT solution type of thing, but they service the federal and the state government, producing solutions that are tailored for internal use for both government, federal, state, and whatever. They have a $19 billion grant that was issued. I think it was in 2020, either 2020 or 2021. If I'm not mistaken, I looked at this a long time ago, and out of the actually 30-something, out of the $30-something million grant work that they secured, only 19 million have been paid. That number I remember. Now I wanted to stop here for a second because I wanted to so many federal interest in protecting certain, and you would think that. Why is that? Right? Like, I have a federal background. I don't understand it. What is it called? Kachiri. Oh my God. Kachiri. Can I call you Kachiri? I don't want to, I think, I don't want to misspeak, but okay. So there is a process when it comes to federal government, when it comes to grants, when it goes to appropriation laws, when it goes with purchase orders, when it goes with, all this is anything that we do, right? Even bidding for a job can take forever. You have 1,000, 2,000 companies bidding for the same job, and only the top 50, then the top 20, then the top 10. How is it that he has continued to win and win and win all these federal grants over and over and over and over? So if he is the golden goose and everybody's asking, so who are they protecting? Who are they protecting? Who do you think they're protecting? Let's just stop right there. Who do you think they're protecting? Now, I'm going to point out something very interesting here. Because between this report that we're gonna look at, right? Between the report, between Guarino, the Guarino report, between that, the Ian Whiffing's testimony, and I'm thinking that we're not gonna be able to do this all in one sitting. The Richard Green testimony and the Nicholas Guarino's actual testimony, which he did. Based on his report, there are so many incongruencies that is, I don't know why I still have so much hair on my head, because I've been pulling my hair out every time that I go and I advance 2 or 3 feet. I gotta go back because first to make sure that I got it right. Like, really? Did I really get that? There's so many little findings that we need to find a way to put this together. Now, I started a Word document. I started an Excel sheet document. And in one Excel sheet, I put the differences between Green and Whiffing. So I have been watching both of them simultaneously into different computers. And every time that they start, you know how they start. So what do you do? Where's your experience? Where's this? I'm trying to like label one after another, to make a comparison that is a fair comparison, not a competition. I don't like competitions. I don't like the pageant situation, but I want to do a fair comparison, because if Richard Green was for some reason not considered an expert, I don't understand why Ian Whiffing was. Because if anything, he's everything but an expert. Okay? He's a hard-working kid. He's hungry. He's pursuing opportunities. He wants to excel. He wants to move forward, and he wants to climb up. Granted, everybody has that right to pursue the same thing. But is he qualified to be an expert in a case like this? Absolutely not. The first indication of the lack of ethics that that kid gave us all is the fact that somebody called in a company requesting information, and what he did, and the PR person or whatever, was that they turn around and instead of contacting Richard Greenback, they turn around, backstabbed him, and they contacted the potential client directly. That is unethical. In my books, totally unethical, totally conflictive. And that's not what they were supposed to do, because Richard Green could have been a client too. He was trying to consult with them to make sure that his findings were accurate, not what he's pitching in trial. Well, he wasn't sure what the heck this happened or how this search occurred. No, that's not why he called. That's not why he called. And if you think that you're going to be able to get away with it because nobody's in front of you that can actually argue that or rebuttal it or ask you questions about, oh yeah, show me, where is that question? How did you get that question? Show me the email that your PR person sent you asking you to call Norfolk County investigators and secure that client and therefore that contract and therefore whatever return on in investment that client would generate for Celebrate. Show it to me. Show it to me. Where are your receipts? I want to see them, right? So, making a long story short, we need to work on this, and we need to work on it together, because it's like, if I miss something and you guys are paying attention and you guys can catch it, or maybe you catch something that I haven't caught, then the more ammo we have to put all this stuff together. There is enough stuff for all of us to be able to do this and actually come up with some sort of like condensed, this is what doesn't make sense in this case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And even though I feel like I can sit down in any panel and rebuttal any questions and any anti that comes at me and says, oh yeah, well, she was the one who did it because of this. No, I feel that I have everything that I need, and I'm a walking AK-47, and I can go and answer every single one of those questions. But the more involved and the more immersed and the more nose deep that I go into anything that has to do with documents per se, I get worse by the second. So it's almost aggravating when I see, oh, wait, I missed something. Not acting like only in Afghanistan, and he doesn't understand the cell phones. He understands cell phones. He understands, like the book, Catch Your in the Eye. Oh, I see. Oh, I guess you two know each other. Cool. I'm happy. I have never seen the Catcher in the Eye. I've never seen that person. I guess you're new here. I hope you're new here. I hope you like it. I hope you sub up. Let me see. And Celebrate. Remove the stamp field from during trial 1, the physical. Well, he said on this testimony, he said that they did it before trial 1. So you know, they were all in cahoots. Both the Norfolk County, Guarino, and all of them were in cahoots with Celebrate. At the end of the day, they were their clients now, right? And they were able to communicate, and they probably proactively did whatever they had to do so it wouldn't show. But what they didn't know was that Axiom does not obey under the same rules as Celebrate or that Norfolk County dictates. So Axiom maintained its finding. It still shows, but then it gets even better. I caught him and Jessica Hyde, both of them, saying, yes, they still exist. And yes, it was done. But nobody catches it. Why? Why is it? Because it doesn't matter if I caught it. Why is it that nobody else catches it? Guarino made the top 10 in the hot mic category. Kill me. And I remember Celebrate removed. Yeah, I read that one too. Am I behind on the chats? I hate doing that. I want you guys to feel ignored. Did Alexis Cross of Ian Whiffen help at all understand some of it? Well, it did and it didn't. But then the problem, what happened? This is what happened with Alexis. Alexis became an expert in everything that had to do with anything that Celebrite did, Richard Green, anything that had to do with the forensic analysis of John O'Keefe's phone and Jen McCabe. But Alexis, as a very good, competent, knowledgeable, and experienced lawyer, also understood that his job was not to enter on a competition of the minds with Mr. Ian Whipcream here. His job was to do what? Reasonable doubt. So even though he was the one who actually managed in no time to get an accelerometer in his brain and understand every single every single detail that has to do with phone, forensic, analytics, GPS, coordinates, location, battery temperature. He brought everything up to the table. But the thing is, if he went further, what he was doing was not going to continue to help or advocate for Karen, because it was going to become a match between Ian Whiffen's expertise and Robert Alexis' expertise, and we already had anti-Bev against us. So what he did was he took it to a point where he pointed out in front of the juror that, hey, Whipcream, I caught you. That's not absolutely right. Hey, Ian Whipcream, you cannot tell me that you put something on your report that nobody read, but you skipped it from your presentation. You can't tell me that you considered that the battery temperature was so relevant that you did a test yourself in a freaking refrigerator, but then you skip it and then you don't add it to the presentation that you explained to the juror. So at that point, he created what it was required from Alexis, which was reasonable doubt, calling out his BS, telling him that if you did this, then why didn't you do that? And who is it that you on? Whose side is it that you're on? Because why would you put this on the report and not discuss it with the juror? That's what Alexis' job was. But even though he was able to do a lot more, he was not. He chose not to for the sake of reasonable doubt, because at the end of the day, this was a second trial. The first one was a hung jury, and we all needed Karen to be acquitted. So I think that was critical. Did Alexis? Yeah. Oh, it was brilliant watching him cross him. Oh, that's right, D. Marcus. You haven't finished watching that, but it was amazing watching him. He was perfect for Ian Whipcream. Perfect. And I call him Whipcream because apparently when you say Celebrite or something, I heard that Emily C got sued by Celebrite or something. I'm not sure. I don't really care. I mean, everything that I say is my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. And if anybody out there thinks that they're going to try to scare me with, oh, we're going to do an intimidation on defamation, it's like, kiss my ass. And it's a big ass to kiss. So I don't care. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. You guys are too. Nobody's going to scare us off. Nobody's going to silence us. And we're going to continue to do what we're going to do until we find out all this crap that doesn't make any sense. And we can prove that not only Ian Whiffen, but Guarino, and all of them were in cahoots. And everybody adjusted to guess what? To this. Look at this. I'm going to show you something. Let me see if I can find it. I don't care about Jen McCabe today. I'm working more on John O'Keefe. Okay, so I got the GPS points. Okay, I got them from this report, but I want everybody to do the following. Okay, the waterfall location is at Waterfall, right? It's located at 643 Washington Street. I want everybody to write that down. 643 Washington Street. When we look at 643 Washington Street, which is the place where Karen Reed left, right? The morning of January, that's a Ford Edge, by the way. The morning of January 29th at 12:12, they were where? They were at the Walgreens parking lot heading out, jetting out, getting on their car, and they were going to go follow Jen McCabe because they had agreed that they were going to go to 34 Fairview, right? That's when they all left. The last ones in the bar were Jen, John, Matt, Karina Kolakithis, John O'Keefe, Mr. Kolakithis, Jen McCabe, and Chris Albert. Yes? No? Yes. So here we are, and it's 12:06. I'm going to bring it back up, and I'm going to bring it to... I'm going to show you other cars, but this is the most important one right here that I want to show you. And that car we're going to talk about later too. So at 12, it's almost coming. At 12:14, there's the trooper. And right after the trooper is the Yukon Denali, Jen McCabe's car. So, and that's Collins' Jeep. We're going to talk about that later too. I figured it out. That's Jen McCabe's and Matt McCabe's, and Chris Albert is in that car on that Yukon Denali. That Yukon Denali that you see there. That Yukon Denali that you see there is going to make a left on Sherman. And she is at 12:14:51. Hold on. It's going to disappear. It's going to skip. 12:14:51. It disappears. So from 12:14:51 until 12:18:36, that's the time that Jen McCabe got to 34 Fairview. Did everybody write that down? I can't see the screen. Hold on. I saw both. Oh, you did? Okay, cool. That's a great question. Dita, let's see. Great question. So much of this plain sight. How will the path lead underground? Yep. Well, tentacles to a big octopus, I believe. Trial 1. I didn't get to this part yet. I'm at Ali McCabe's right now. Okay. And where am I got? Okay, right here. Yes. Okay. So 12:15:24. If you Google, if I am outside Canton Library, what is my ETA at 34 Fairview if I turn left on Sherman and then take Chapman? And it will tell you your ETA is approximately 12:18:36. Now, don't forget, these people knew this town like the back of their hands, right? They've been living there. The person that didn't know this town was John and Karen. That much, because John moved to Canton in 2017 and Karen was just floating, right? So she had no ties prior to anything that had to do with Canton. So Jen was already at 34 Fairview at 12:18:36. Now look at this. If we keep going on, wait, oops, wrong one. Okay. If I keep going, that car that we're going to see is the Ford Escape that also belongs to Brian Albert, follows the Yukon and turns on Sherman. And we have talked about this before. And we're gonna pick that up later on. But right now we're gonna focus on Karen and the Guarino report. That is Karen Reed. Now, Karen Reed at 12:16, she's already passing, right? She's about to cross Sherman intersection with Washington, and she keeps going. So listen to what Guarino says right here. He says that on January 29th, 2022, at 12:04, the location of John and Karen were at the Waterfall Bar and Grill. That's what he says. Now, At 12:25:36, the location was outside Fairview. That is absolutely wrong. And his lies start very early on his report. And he did it that way because the earlier that he starts, the better it would be for him and for everybody to manipulate this data and push the timelines to a further later time that fit their narratives better. And I'll explain why later. So we're going to take the 12/12 with a grain of salt. And I believe that is, I had it as 12/13, but that's pretty accurate. Now, I'm going to see if I can bring you back here. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can bring you back here for a minute. I don't think I can. Can I? Okay, well, I don't want to play with it, but I'll read it. I'm going to leave you guys here and I'm going to read it. So I'm going to read it from here. Okay, so here we go. So 12:12, they depart the waterfall. The distance between 643 Washington Street, right, to Kenton Library, which is at Washington Street, it's about 0.3 to 0.4 miles, not even 1 or 2 minute drive. So if you're driving, right? So that means that pretty much by 12:19, Karen would have gotten to the next point where he says that she got there by 12:20:08. I'm going to show you how. So let's look here and I'm going to see if I can bring it back. Okay, does somebody have a calculator handy and a pencil? Because unfortunately, I cannot do both. Is that a yes? Okay, that's a yes from before. Is everybody here? Okay, so, okay. Is that a yes? Can I get a yes somewhere? I can't see the chat, but I'm going to show you. So, per Guarino, right? This is the waterfall. When I look at the waterfall, if I go back and I click waterfall bar and grill, it's going to bring me right here, right? Can everybody see that? I hope so. Okay, so we know that at 12:59, Karen is not at the corner, but she's right in front of the library, right? So the first thing she does is she goes from the waterfall until public library, right? So that's the first thing she does. If we calculate from 12:59, and you don't have to do it, I already did it. I just want you to do it yourself so you don't take my word as face value. But I already did all this. So if you go from the waterfall to the library, and from there, the next stop per Guarino's, and we're going to go back to this, and then it says that he is 7 minutes, 12:19:33. By 12:18:33, they were already at Dedham and Cedar Crest Road. Now, let's put this into context. At 12:12:04, they're at the waterfall, right? But what happened at 12:14? John texts Jen and he asks where to. Jen tells him where they're going. At 12:14 and a few seconds, Jen is seen turning left on Sherman, right? At 12:51, Karen is right in front of where? Of the Kenton Library, 12:59, right? 12:59. So then he says that the next stop is going to be at Dedham Street and Cedar Crest Road, right? That's the intersection where Joan is seen at 12:19. No, that it isn't. because if you calculate how long does it take to go from the Canton Library to the corner of, and I put it just like that, corner of Cedar Crest and Dedham. That's Cedar Crest and Fairview. Right here. Cedar Crest and Dedham by 12/19/33 is that Guarino says that they're already there. But that's not accurate. They're there by 12/18/23. So then they passed that corner and they didn't take that left. So the next left that they took was Maplecroft. They ended up driving all the way like this, all the way over here until Maplecroft. And then Maplecroft sort of converts into, I'm going to show you from this point. They go from Maplecroft and he goes into a little circle and he keeps going into a little circle and he keeps going until you get to Oakdale. Okay? You see it? Oh my God. Can you see it? Let me go back here. I have a calculator. I saw both trials. Hide. Okay. So if you start calculating, like, you know, what I did was I started with the Waze situation, and then I changed to Apple, and then I changed to Google. Why? Because when you're on an iPhone and you're calculating time from an iPhone, the iPhone is gonna use Apple. Apple is gonna go straight to Google Earth. If you go and open up Waze, Waze is going to use the Waze app that feeds from Apple, but Apple feeds from Google. So that's why you hear Ian Whiffing saying, well, there is 12 minutes of inaccuracy. There's a 21-minute Google delay. There's a whatever. I had to step away on hold with the DMB. Okay, that's fine. You're fine, sweetheart. Thank you. So you go through different steps to get your information, right? Now, when I went straight to Safari and I asked Safari, can you please tell me how far is it from here to here, from there to there? I'm going to tell you what, by 12:18 and 51 minutes, they were already at the corner of Maplecroft and Oakdale. And it is 0.04 miles, less than a minute the most, to get to the corner of Cedar Crest and 34th Fairview, which means that before 12:19, Karen and John were already in the corner of, what do you call it? Cedar Crest and Oakdale. Is it? Let me go back to the thing. Okay, wait. Let me make it bigger. Okay. So, polygon, I'm going to go back here. Okay, from Oakdale Road, Maplecroft. Now we go. From here, there's no turning. It's like just loops around and it takes you to, it converts into Oakdale Road. Now, if I go and I ask, take me to the corner of Cedar Crest and Fairview, take me to it. It's going to take me to, oh my God, wait. I'm sorry, guys, it's the hand. There's the corner of Cedar Crest and Fairview. Now, if you notice, that's Fairview right here. the one with the pool. So it's not that far from that corner, right? So if Dantano was coming this way with Heather Maxon and Ryan Nagel, and Karen initially passed that corner, did a 3.4 turn with John inside the car, turn around and then make a left on Fairview and stopped right here, what you're going to see is that Karen came back from Oakdale, took what's his name? Tried to come here, but then skipped Fairview and then stopped, did a 3.4 turn and came back to that corner and then took a left on Fairview until she arrived to Fairview. And she was here by 12:21:10. So the initial report where Guarino tried to kill us with a minute or over a minute here, and then 2 minutes, 1 minute more here, because then he says that they were in Oakdale and Maplecroft by 12:21. Look how quickly time is going. And these places are 0.3, 0.4 miles away. It takes no time to go from one to the next, especially at midnight, right? There's no traffic. So by the time that they got to the house, he says Fairview Road, that continues down on Cedar Crest Road, goes by Fairview Road until it stops at blah, 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 and reverses. He says it himself. He says it reverses direction and he takes a right into Fairview. So that part here is when the 3.4 turn happened, and he pretty much ignores it. So that's the second boo-boo. But the major boo-boo that he does is regarding time. He's killing us on the timeline. And I'll tell you why he's trying to do that. He doesn't want to acknowledge that John got to 34 Fairview at 12:21:10. He doesn't. He doesn't want to acknowledge that because we have something that he didn't think we were going to have. And what we have is a now FOIA video that shows us that at 12:29 and 3 minutes in the morning, Karen Reed was long gone from 34 Fairview. But in trial 1 and trial 2, we didn't have any of this. We didn't have any of 12:29:02. What do you think that is? Let me see if you can see it because I can't see you. Can you see it? Oh my God, Lisa Davy, I'm so happy. You said 12:18. You said, Josie, you said 12:18:33. Hold on. Let me go back to the Lisa. I don't know if you know, but I'm working with one hand. I have a cast on my hand for the last 2.5 weeks. Okay, so I'm going to read over again. The distance between 643 Washington Street and the Canton Library, which is at 786 Washington Street in Canton, is approximately 0.3 to 0.4 miles. Typically, one less than 2 minute drive at that time of the day from the waterfall. Now, both locations are situated on the same road in the center of town. 12 meters, and I'm not going to go with meters because I'm not whipped cream, 5.6 miles from, and it's giving you like a general area, right? Now, driving from 643 Washington Street to the corner of Cedar Crest Road and Dedham Road in Canton, Massachusetts at 12:10 a.m. typically takes approximately 3 to 5 minutes, covering a distance of about 1.5 miles to 1.8 miles. Traffic is expected to be minimal at this time. The route usually involves driving south on Washington Street towards Dedham. The distance is approximately 1.5 to 1.8 miles. The time it takes is 3 to less than 5 minutes. Primary road will be Washington Street, South towards Dedham Road. For exact real time, and I'm gonna laugh at this. I'm gonna read it just for kicks. It says, use a navigation tool like Waze or Google Maps for more exact timing. Now, what I did was, Lisa, and I don't know if you saw this. I'm gonna share this document with you guys. I'm trying to figure out how to open how to do like a Google Doc, so everybody that is within the show has access to this. I noticed how within where is it? I noticed that there were 3-week foundation course. Yeah, the guy's an idiot. But okay, wait. So if we go back here, that is Karen Reed. Let me see if I can you guys see it? That is Karen at 12:29:02. Now, do you know what that means? That for Karen to be at 12:29:02 in front of Canton Library, what does that mean if we do it in reverse? So she came from Chapman. From Chapman, she ended up on, she drove straight through 34 Fairview, ended up in Chapman. From Chapman, she makes a left, right? Yes, I think it's a left. I'm trying to picture myself there. She makes a left. From there, she takes Sherman. Actually, she didn't take Sherman because she came straight. So that means that at least 4 minutes. So if we take 4 minutes away from 12:29:02, we're talking that she must have left at least by what? 12:26, 12:27 to be able to get to Canton Library. If I do it in reverse, let's say 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, let's say even 3 minutes. It means that Karen left at 12:26, 12:28, the latest, to be able to be in front of the library at 12:29:02. And that would have destroyed the entire trial. That's why by 12:36, she was already connecting with John's Wi-Fi because she was pulling into the driveway, right? And the Wi-Fi of her house picked her up. So she's heading back to One Meadows. Now, one thing that I wanted to show you all is I did this a long time ago. There's a video out there where I did the measurements and the coordinates and the longitudes and the latitudes. This whole thing is like an entire, I don't know if I can show it to you better. It's a damn triangle. There's a reason why. So Fairview is right here. Meadows is down there. And up here is 12 Country Lane. So think about this, because a lot of people have asked why, and this is Fuller Street, right? And that's the waterfall, right? And that's 33 Oakdale. I mean, I don't know how to explain to all of you how logic fails to actually brings justice in this case. Because if Matt and Jen live in 12 Country Lane, and Jen was living with Karen, driving her car to control where Karen would have been going, right? And make sure that Karen went where she says she was going. You better drive her car. Why is that? The only way to get out of 12 lane, right? To get out and come back, at some point you detour and you can go across to go to 34 Fairview. But Matt and Jen could not leave at the same time. Matt could have not gone with Jen to go find John. And Jen had to bring Karen back to One Meadows because Matt was going where? To 34 Fairview. So instead of going both the same direction, like both to 34 Fairview, one had to go to John's house and the other one had to go towards Oakdale. Why towards Oakdale? Because that's where who lives? Officer Lang. Are we all caught up? Yeah, let me see. Yeah, she's heading back to One Meadows. Yep, 12:25 exactly. So yeah, it's a perfect equilateral triangle. I mean, it is a perfect freaking triangle. I was like, oh my God, everything makes sense. Now, I don't know if you all heard me saying, I don't know if everybody that was here was able to listen to the other live shows or the other videos that I have done, little clips. But the reason why Julie Nagel and Ryan Nagel came over, it wasn't anything other than to push Karen. You did hear it? Okay, Lisa. I was wondering about that. Because sometimes I see you and sometimes I don't. When I know that you get the little notification stuff. But they needed those lights behind that Lexus. I'm gonna see if I can find it. They needed the lights behind the Lexus. Why did they need the lights behind the Lexus? Because that was the only way to push Karen further out, because everything that was happening around. Oh wait, let's go back to Warino. Yeah, look, everything that was happening. Don't focus on his times, but focus on what he says. Cedar Crest Road, right? And then from there, he stops between 34 and 32. So 34 and 32 Fairview. Do you see it? Let me see. That was in the area. And the final point, don't focus on the time, was stops showing movement at 12:25. You know why they were doing this? Because they already knew. They knew the time that Karen had left. They can't blame an accident on Karen if Karen is not there, right? Karen had already left. And that was the whole thing. They didn't know whether the information from the car was going to come about. But look at what he says. Proctor and I began measuring approximate location from where O'Keefe's body was discovered. To do this, we reviewed Canton PD dash cameras, blah, 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 blah. But look at what he says. The only thing that he did was that he reviewed everything until 12:25:36. He didn't continue to investigate where else did that phone go past the 12:36 mark. Why not? But then he says 36 steps at 12:31:56. But guess what? Guarino can't say that, because in this report, this is what he said. I mapped the GPS points starting on January 29th from 12:04 until 12:25:36. That's what he mapped. Nothing else. So if he only mapped that, then why did he only do it until 12:36? If John collapsed at 12:34:38, why? What happened with John's phone after 12:26? Well, he didn't map that. What he's saying over here is that him and Trooper Proctor went and he worked on GPS points from Axiom and the blah, blah, blah. And he mapped GPS points starting at 12:12 to 12:25:36. So why? You know why I wrote that note? Because I knew that he was going to try to put a fastball. If you only mapped until 12:25:36, how are you competent, capable, and logical to say that there were 36 steps at 12:31:56? You didn't map anything past 12:25:36, and that was aggravating to me, because that could have been an argument. It's like, why didn't anybody ask him that? Why didn't anybody say, wait a minute, but in your report you limited yourself to 12:25:36. How did you get this information about 12:31 whatever? Where did you get that from? Who gave that to you? It's so frustrating. So Julie said Karen left before Ryan came. Right? Julie who? Julie said Karen left before Ryan came. Ryan said they parked behind Karen. Yeah. Ricky said they parked behind Karen, but all three stories didn't match. Okay. So Juliana Nagel. Julie said Karen left before Ryan came. No, Karen moved forward before. Yeah. Karen had to move forward, and that was the whole idea. The idea wasn't anything else. They called Ryan so Ryan could come over, right? Because there was a brawl going on that right, on that door, on that side of the house. Look, Guarino is telling us exactly where the whole thing happened. It was between 32 Fairview and 34 Fairview. If we look at the map and we look at 32 Fairview is right there. It's right there, you guys. Look. So let me see if I can move it a little. Let me see if I can. No. Oh. Wrong hand. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. Okay. Okay, wait. Okay. Oh my God. Let me tell you, I'm going to end up being left-handed after this. So they turn around and they stop right here, right? So there's this driveway, the right side of the driveway, which it looks almost like around here is almost like man-made, like they expanded that side towards there, right? There's a white fence, there's a gate, and the cellar door comes around this way. Can you guys see it? Oh, wait, you can't see it. There we go. Can you guys see it? I'm working with Google Earth at the same time. Can you guys see it? No, Julie Nagel is a liar. Yeah, she got messed up on the script, but she's a liar. What she tried to do was lie. Can all of you see it? If all of you see it, I'm gonna use my newfound widget. Did you all see it? Somebody say something. Where's my widget? It looks like you can all see it. Let me see. And I see it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so because you said you see it, I have to do this. So, okay, so yay! Yeah. Okay, perfect. So if that side right there, that's when it happened. So if Karen was parked right here, and now I need to see if you see my cursor. If Karen was parked right there, because everything that was let me see if I can. Do I see the cursor? I'm trying to see. No, you don't. So on the right side, if Karen was parked right in front of the mailbox and another call comes in and she doesn't know who that is and she has no idea who's coming and all she sees is lights behind her, what does a normal person do? She's going to move forward, right? Because the only walkway from the road to the house is the one where she's sort of like blocking because she's parked right outside of the mailbox. So she moves a little bit further, trying to be nice to the people behind her. She doesn't know whether they're picking up or they're dropping off or what are they doing, right? Starting to snow. She had already said that the house looked dark, that the house looked like there wasn't a party going on. So she moves forward, and then the Ford F-150, which I also located in that video going around, and the Ford F-150 comes forward, beams the lights. She can't see anything that's happening behind her. She can't see anything. And we already know, but that by 12:25, 12:26, where was Karen? She was gone. She was gone. But at 12:24:38, per the records, that's when John collapsed. There is no way that didn't happen inside that house. At 12:21:10, he's moving westerly towards that house. And Guarino just told us that this happened between 32 and 34 Fairview. And the only thing that happened between 32 and 34 Fairview, the only thing that we can see between 34 and 30 and 32 Fairview is what? What is it? Is that is that that's when it happened. That's why Karen had to move over here and they had to block her view. And I mean, don't forget, those are train tracks right there. But that's 31 Fairview. This is Kelleher's house. That one over there. This one. And he owns the 33 Fairview. He owns a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Also, you were not seeing. This person, Lieutenant Kelleher, he's the former lieutenant of Canton PD. He owns a Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is the driveway where we believe that that, what do you call it? The Jeep was parked. But this house, the 34 Fairview, on a normal given day, you normally see that there are 3 to 4 cars parked there. The first car that you see, now, wait. Here we go. That car, this one, departs the waterfall at the same time that Brian Albert and Brian Higgins leave the waterfall at 11:59:12. And by 12:11, it's already in front of the Canton Library, okay? And then you have several cars that come and go after that. But there is a patrol car that also goes by. Unfortunately, it's too far away that you can't tell if there's a number there, if you can try to identify it somehow. That's the trooper car. You can't see who that car is, but that Jeep, I believe, that is Colin Albert. That one is Jen McCabe. And I believe Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Chris Albert were in that car. Now, this white car also belongs to Brian Albert and typically is always parked at their driveway. First is the Ford Explorer, which is a government-issue Boston PD vehicle for Brian Albert. Then is the blue Cadillac that belongs to Nicole Albert. And then is that little Ford Escape, which is the older vehicle that his kids used to drive. Those are the 3 cars that are always there. Every now and then, especially two of the last times that I went, there was also a van. It looked like either an older Pacifica or an older Dodge Caravan or something like that. I don't know who that belongs to. But, Lisa Davy, the day or two after we found Kevin Albert at the waterfall, Lisa Davy identified Julie Albert leaving at a few minutes after, I think it was Kevin Albert had arrived. She sensed something and she gets up and she goes, like, very quickly. She just goes. And she didn't look to me like anybody who had a headache, because she got up and go like fairly quickly, almost like she didn't want to be involved in any of it or something like that. So yes, the what? Yes, for cursor. Just saw it. Exactly at the road and slightly curves too. Yeah. Most of the roads around there are like curvy and wavy, but I also noticed when you go into Waze, if you go into Safari and you start looking, what's the distance or how far or how quickly can I drive? If I leave at this time, how quickly can I get to 34 Fairview from the corner of Cedar Crest and, I don't know, Oakdale, for instance? and it will tell you. And it also tells you the elevation. Kevin was driving the Ford Edge when he parks. Josie, Kevin was driving a Ford Edge when he parked. No, he wasn't. It looked to me that it was almost like a Highlander, a Toyota Highlander, 2010, 2012, maybe, dark. But that car wasn't his because the person who came in with him had the fob in the pocket. He actually ducks and looks down, waits until Kevin Albert gets out of the car, and then he uses the fob to close the car, and you can see it. If you guys want, you can take a look at it. I would go to the court shop one in this case because it's clearer than the other one. But he wasn't driving the Ford Edge. He was driving, it looked like it was Brian Albert and that was driving the Ford Edge and not Kevin Albert. Hi everyone, late. Is it? Oh, it's Aaron Day. Kevin came in at 10:57. Julie ran at 11:17. Yeah, 10:56 exactly. Kevin Albert walks into the waterfall, and it is so funny to watch because Brian Higgins is constantly, like a few minutes prior, he's looking at the door almost like he knew that somebody was coming in. Prior to that, he was talking and telling something to Brian Albert. Then he sat down. Then he took a drink, took his right hand, took a drink, and then he starts looking towards the door, almost expecting somebody to come in. And literally, you can like count 1, 2, 3, bam, and there is Kevin Albert. And he's already like waiting for him and expecting him. It is like it is mind blowing. But yeah, and Julie literally like stood up. I saw that when you texted me and you put it on the chat. It's like, Julie Albert, I'm going, what? I ran to look and I noticed that like immediately the minute that Julie Albert noticed that something was going to go down or Kevin Albert was there or something was in the making, she gets up and she goes. But then she goes to trial and she goes, well, I know I went home. I had a headache. Home and had a headache. It's so obvious that nobody noticed. But then again, don't forget, we never had these videos. So trial one, we didn't have the videos that we have of Canton. We didn't have the what is it? The full video of the bar. We didn't have the library. We didn't have the Canton PD parking lot because Higgins on the first trial, he kept saying, you know, it's on video, like sending us to the video. And today, I still think that what Higgins wanted us to see on that video is not what we have seen in that video. He wanted us to see that video for a reason. But did you see the last video that I did on, oh my God, you guys, wait, you have to wait, I got to show you this. So before we wrap up, I got to show you what happened. Do you guys remember Matt Kelch from, what do you call it? And I'll bring it back. I'm not going to close any of those so I can do another quick recording later, but I'm going to show you this. Hold on. I'm going to show you, and I was cleaning up pictures and whatever, and I found this, and I'm going, you've got to be kidding. I had completely forgotten about this. So what I did was I did a video of little videos, like chopped up videos that I found, and from the thing. Where did it go? Oh, don't tell me that the glare maybe reported it and brought it down. Did he really? The math isn't mathing. Okay. Here I am, deleting pictures, videos, clear my cloud, and all my memories. And guess who I found? My friend. So, wait. So apparently, back in the day, I recorded a few clips. How do I shut it up? That I used to watch when people used to call in, right? And I found a few gems. So if anybody recognizes this, please go back to his page, give him a like, bump him up. You know, he's kind of like sad these days because he misses me. So here we go. This is Matt Kelch. Can you guys hear it?
Because she,
Kevin from
why
South
would he
Boston.
deny and lie to a jury, you know, and play along with this lie with Karen
No.
Reed? And they were not curated, Microdot says. Right. And I mean, it doesn't make sense that they would be, because why would they both be, why would him and Karen Reed both be on the same lie that they're you know, that they never actually got into them? How were they not curated when
Yeah, you guys can't hear it. Why can't you hear it?
I don't know, I guess facilitate what I guess what was procured to law enforcement?
Why can't you hear it? You should be able to hear it. Hold on.
Did you say Phelps? Kelch, wasn't it?
Kelch.
That is correct. But you indicated that you did something to at least make or document in the best way possible the calls that you could obtain from that phone, correct?
Yes, and in many instances when we are unable to get the information off it forensically, we'll do it in the old-fashioned method, which is where we basically just take the screen and we take a photo of each of the screens to document it.
I'm just going to again take a random page 405.
My friend, clips from shows that I used to watch when people used to call in, right? And I found a few gems. So if anybody recognizes this, please go back to his page, give him a like, bump him up. You know, he's kind of like sad these days because he misses me. So here we go. This is Matt Kelch.
Why would Higgins, in theory, get mad to the point of on the verge of violence over a woman that, in theory, he never even went out on a date on or a date with? I mean, doesn't because she.
Kevin from South Boston.
And lie to a jury, you know, and play along with this lie with Karen Reed. And they were not curated, Microdot says. Right. And I mean, it doesn't make sense that they would be, because why would they both be, why would him and Karen Reed both be on the same lie that they're you know, that they never actually got into them? How were they not curated when Kelch helped him, you know, I don't know, I guess facilitate what I guess what was procured to law enforcement? Who? Did you say Phelps? Kelch, wasn't it?
Kelch.
That is correct.
But you indicated that you did something to at least make or document in the best way possible the calls that you could obtain from that phone, correct?
Yes, and in many instances when we are unable to get the information off it forensically, we'll do it in the old-fashioned method, which is where we basically just take the screen and we take a photo of each of the screens to document it.
I'm just going to again take a random page 405.
Who? Did you say Phelps? Kelch, wasn't it?
Kelch.
Matt Kelch, who helped him?
Yeah, he knew the name.
I don't know.
Shit.
I don't recognize that name.
Shit. He does though.
He's gonna get the girl. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's something that just doesn't. The math isn't mathing for me in some respects on that front. That's all. Okay. Such as? I mean, listen. There's plenty of fish in the sea, right? I mean, and this isn't freaking high school, so it's like, listen, you know, she's with another guy. It's like his text with her. Did that not remind you of a virgin talking to an inexperienced virgin talking to an experienced woman? He was afraid of her. Curated texts. Those are curated texts, first of all, so we don't really know how deep they went. I mean, they could have gone, you know,
offensive.
Full triple X rated. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't think that happened. I don't think that happened. None of that. We don't know what happened. He was too. I mean, but you could. She was. First of all, he was drunk. Second of all,
she was she was the one who, I don't want to say the aggressor, that's the wrong word to use, but she was the one who approached him. And so the way that he looked at it, I think, I'm just theorizing because I'm not a mind reader, but I feel like he was drinking with Brian Albert. I feel like he looked at it, I was him. I don't want to be, she was the one who, I don't want to say the aggressor, that's the wrong word to use, but she was the one who approached him. And so the way that he looked at it, I think, I'm just theorizing because I'm not a mind reader, but I feel like he was drinking with Brian Albert. They were grab-assing. They were grab-assing, and Brian Albert, and he probably told Brian Albert about the situation. And Brian Albert probably told him something to the effect of, if you don't.
Nope. Curated texts. And I don't think Microdots has background, federal government agent, forensic. I'm not sure. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But he states those were curated texts that were procured for law enforcement. That was probably Matt Kilch in himself. Old-fashioned way. That's what he said when he testified during the Aaron Hernandez trial. Look it up. It's on YouTube. This is not about a love triangle like everybody wants to make it look like, right? The math isn't mathin', and there's plenty of fish in the sea, right? Curated texts. Do we need any more hints to understand that he didn't do this? Somebody please tag Loophole Lawyer. All right, you all. Thank you all for listening, watching, and I'll see you all soon. There's so much more to come. You don't want to miss it. So sub up, subscribe, and join the fun. I'll see you all later.
Sexy on the cover. She call me Miss Boom.
Okay, guys. So that was an old. You're gonna have to forgive me, but I gotta get my kicks somewhere, right? Like I gotta find ways to stay happy and laugh and make fun of myself because it's like this world is terrible right now, and then I'm crippled. So we have to find ways to keep going. We need to stay positive. We need to continue to get at it and laugh while we're doing this and try to figure out how to continue to put these pieces together. But that clip that I found, and I was coming back trying to clear space on my cloud, right? And I find these clips with the glare, and I don't know if you guys know, but he started a brawl with me for no reason, and I found it like, well, maybe he just misses me. So I started like going through the pictures and deleted stuff. But when I saw those videos, I had to sort of I'm going, oh my God. Because I literally, he calls me this person. Who is this person? Well, I'll show you who this person is. I literally used to stand in front of my TV, send him super chats, and waited until he laughed and took pictures. Or I would just clip like little pieces of like when people would call and say something. So because there were hints for me, there were hints, and I was trying to understand, put things together, blah, blah, blah. So when I found those, the first thing that Matt Kilch caught my attention, and Glare didn't catch it. Hey, listen. When he said, hey, listen, that's the first thing he said. This is not high school, right? There's plenty of fish in the sea, right? I mean, who does that remind us of? Don't forget that in trial, Higgins said that Matt Kilch was not only his friend, he was his best friend. He was also the person who helped him. Like Matt Kilch testified on that little piece from Aaron Hernandez trial. He said, when you cannot do it that way, then you do it the old-fashioned way, and you take pictures of the whatever it is that you need. But in this video that he's talking to the Glarer, he said those were, he was not telling Glare or asking Glare if they were curated texts. He was telling Glare that those were curated texts. How do you know? We'll never know, right? He's telling him. And Glare is like, nah, man, this is a 40-year-old virgin. Everybody goes where your mind goes. Like, if you're from Montana, you're going to think Montana. If you're from Oklahoma, you're going to think yeehaw. If you're, it depends. So that's where your mind takes you. And that's why we need to continue to try to be a sponge and, think outside the box and listen more than what we talk. Like, and it's ironic because here I am, right, talking for like from the top of my lungs for the last 2 hours and 11 minutes. But what I'm trying to say is we need to try to listen more than what we speak. He, she who calls is trying to tell you something. It's like, let them talk. Imagine if somebody would have given Carrie Roberts a glass of wine when the woman was interviewing her from, what is the name of the woman? The Note My Objection person. Imagine if somebody would have given Carrie Roberts a glass of glass. I mean, she already said that the FBI went to her house. She spent 2 hours telling her their story, right? And this and that. And just like that, I have so many little clips and nuggets and text messages and things like this that I have to try to put them together so I can share them with you guys. Because at the end of the day, this is what's happening right now. There's a side that is fighting with another side, right? There's a side that is in a lawsuit for defamation together. And those people are probably going to go independently their ways and try to fight their lawsuit each on their own, right? But there is a civil suit going on, and we still don't know who killed John O'Keefe. So this is how I see it. We can either focus on the drama, right? We can focus in continuing to work together and trying to continue to analyze, audit, and look into whatever little glitches and little, whatever we can. Oh no, so the dog pulled me and I did a plank on the ground. That was like 2 years ago, and I've been suffering from that wrist ever since. This is my 4th cast. So they're gonna take it off on the 6th, I think, of May. And if it doesn't heal, then they're gonna suggest other things. But I'm finding ways to continuing to work and do what I have to do. It's just that it's a little bit more challenging than before, right? But yeah, we need to continue to try to, thank you, Lisa, to connect the dots. We all need to work together. We have to try to get the group of people that is not into the drama, that is still trying to analyze and scrutinize and research and study and find little pieces and clues and cues that put logic together and let us know that, we can, please, let's group together. Let's just unite together. Let's form our little sort of niche where we are away from the fuss and the buzz, and we just continue to do what we have to do, because this is not impossible. Yeah, this is not impossible. This is a bunch of lies. People got in cahoots and agreed and put their minds together and push the cart all together on the same direction. That's all it is. Look how easy it was for what's his name? For who's the lawyer? Wait. She's a lawyer. Yeah, but the thing is, the same thing that happens with some lawyers, sometimes it happens with engineers. Engineers see everything black and white, right? And it goes, you know how when you finish high school and they tell you have to take a personality test so you can figure out, like, which career path you should take, because it would be more aligned with who you are, how you are, what you like, what are your likes and dislikes, and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay. So there are people that are very black and white. They don't believe in gray. There's no gray areas. They don't find that a person is either truthful or it isn't, right? You can't find somebody that is all good-hearted. Oh, no, somebody always has to have something bad. Not everybody is like good-hearted. Some people are. believe it or not, there are some people that there's not an inch of maliciousness in their being. Some people are really good-hearted people. All they want to do is help. They're empath, or they're generous, or they're public servants by nature. There are people like that, but there are people that have a little bit of both, right? There are people that are good people, but they're also skeptical because of what? Because they've been betrayed, backstabbed, or lied to one too many times. And come on, man, we all have a heart. It is a freaking muscle. I know that the brain controls the heart, but the heart hurts. It hurts. And it hurts when it gets betrayed over betrayed over betrayed. Why do I have in my Twitter that one strike is all I give? Because it's like, no. Why would I give anybody more than one strike? This is not baseball, man. I'm not into MLB. I was so into baseball before. I had no other choice. I had family members that were nose into a lot of teams, Canada, here in the US, Boston, whatever. So I had to love. I was born with a damn baseball bat in my hand. That was the first thing I had. But what I'm saying is, regardless of whether she's a lawyer, she picked a side. She wants to be on the McAlbert side. She wants to show that she supports them. JFK, I heard him say that he tried to get her to go for an interview. And that's another thing. That woman cannot interview anybody. She sucks at it. She definitely, I'm so sorry. What was her name? What's her name? I don't know. Miss Lawyer Lady. Look, you may be a good lawyer, but you suck at interviewing. So it's like, embrace your talents and try to suppress their no-so talents, because that's not your thing. But JFK, on the other hand, he is the master of conducting an interview and keeping control of a situation and sort of like guiding people towards, I mean, he does that fantastically. If you have watched any of the JFK shows when he interviews people, it is impressive to watch him interview people. Myers-Briggs, is that, what is that? That sounds like a law firm. Could be her last name. And I got a heart from Lisa. Lisa, please tell me that you are subbed up in the channel. You're not missing the shows, because every now and then I think about you. Like, I wanted to get back to you with the Julie situation the other day. And I also wanted to double check on that corner of Cedar Crest, the Cedar Crest and Dedham. They ended up turning on Maplecroft. Could they have turned anywhere else other than Maplecroft and Dedham? Or was that the next? Do you remember? I don't know if you remember, if you know. Is there another corner where they could have taken a left after missing Dedham and Cedar Crest, the first turn, before they turn on Maplecroft? Yeah, JFK is really good at asking questions and interviewing. And she probably likes Hank. I also heard that Lama or whoever her name is, which I really don't know. But I heard that she used to either date Hank or went out with Hank or whatever. But yeah, JFK is really good at interviewing. That guy the kid has a lot of talents. JFK is one of those treasure chests that, it has a lot of hidden gems inside of him. And I guess the whole YouTube experience and, the fact that he's an artist has given him an opportunity to sort of display all of those traits in different ways. But specifically this YouTube channel, the channel that he's got, has also allowed him to be more in control on of certain aspects that I don't think that he ever exploited or explored while he was doing music. And I think he has tapped into these hidden things as he has gone along with his own show. Now, you can't tell anybody what to do. And that's one of the reasons why I still today follow certain people, because Nobody can tell me what to do. Nobody can tell me who to follow. Nobody can tell me who to like, but you're on the same boat. I've heard a lot of comments about a lot of things, and I really, if we all focus on what everybody says and we don't focus on ourselves in many ways, it's like we're giving a power, right, to other people to dictate not only what we do, but also how we feel and also how we move forward. So the first thing, yes, I am watching. I just haven't seen on it. I'll keep digging into your videos. You are on point. Thank you, sweetheart. And at any point, Catherine, yes. But at any point, I don't mind being called out. I don't mind if any of you think that I am wrong in any given aspects, or you want me to consider, well, Josie, I don't think so, but can you consider this option? I don't mind if anybody says that. But do you know how frustrated for somebody like me who was active, constant, calling and whatever, and calling here and calling there and super chatting and whatever. And do you know how bad it felt that while I was talking and expressing my point, whether it was similar, different, welcome, not liked, or whatever, if you open up lines for you to call in, right, you're expecting people to give out your points of view, right, whether you like them or not. So one thing is that you don't like them and you become disrespectful to that person. And the other thing is that you don't like the comment or you don't agree with the comment, but you still acknowledge that you were the one who opened up the damn phone lines. So you can't expect everybody just to kissy assy to you all the time. People are entitled to have different opinions. And you are entitled to say, okay, well, I disagree. This show supports this, but thank you for your call. And that's it, right? And you do it elegantly, you do it respectfully, or you do it however the heck you want. But then don't ask people like me to call in or give an opinion if you're actually going to just be focused in your little box and you're going to be unable to think or see outside that box. So I was tired. I was tired of being the what is it that Cherry D said it the other day? Bees in the what? Bees in the traps. Bees. Yeah. So I wanted to say like a bee in a shot or a bees in a trap, right? Where I'm trapped and I can't get to say what I want to say. There's a lot of stuff to say. This is now we are almost going into a 4-year-old case. It's almost going to be a 4-year-old case. And it started with a bunch of people getting drunk, 2 people getting in a car, one dropping off the other one. Now we know that Karen left by 12:26, the latest. She's seen in front of the Canton Library video. She's already connected at One Meadows by 12:36. John was heading westerly towards the house at 12:21:10. 3 minutes and 19 seconds. It's all the time that John spent alive outside of the Lexus within the premises of 34 Fairview. And by the time that he collapsed, Karen was already on her way. How do we like that? Now we know that. So when I look at this, what do you call this? At this whiffing report, what do you think I feel? I'm upset. Like I am pissed. I am really pissed. Like I want to hang Guarino by his balls. That's how I feel. Like literally. That's what I want to do. Because where is your integrity as a public servant, as a public employee, as a civil service employee? Where is your integrity? Why would you do that? Why would you adjust the time to fit your narrative? Why would you do that? You look at this freaking, what do you call it? You look at this map and what you see is what? A freaking perfect triangle. So Julie Albert is the designated donut finder. Oh my God, here's John. Here's John. Julie, who is married to Chris, who is actually the uncle of Brian Albert Jr., if you think about it. Chris Albert should have been the one bringing donuts to his nephew, not Julie Albert, right? Because if we look at it from the lens that Colin Albert is talking about all of his cousins, Alan McCabe is nothing to him because she's not an Albert, right? So the only reason Julie is an Albert is because Julie is married to Chris. So Chris should have been the one going to 34 Fairview to bring donuts to Brian Albert Jr. But no, it was Julie. Because what? Because Chris was nowhere to be found. So let's go back to Country Lane. So we are at Country Lane. So Karen asked Kaylee to call Jen. And then Karen talks to Jen. And Jen says, well, come and get me. Why wouldn't Jen say, oh, I'm going to come get you. We'll go find him. No, come and get me. Karen was already out driving about, right? And then she goes and gets Jen. But Matt, Jen's husband, doesn't go with Jen. Why? Where does Matt have to go? Well, Matt has to go to 34 Fairview. And that's why Jen says, well, I'm going to bring you back to One Meadows. And I'm thinking Karen has to go like, why the heck are you bringing me back to John's house? I just came from there. I literally just came from there. Why are you bringing bees in the trap? Why are you bringing me back to One Meadows? Why? So got a lot of slack when he brought Kate Peter when he was fishing. Well, yeah. And they needed to do that because Jen and Karen, Jen was driving Karen's Lexus, and Matt also had to take off at the same time because Matt had to bring the phone back to the perimeter of 34 Fairview. And then keep thinking about it. The last time that we heard on testimony that Michael Lang was involved in a situation with Chris Albert was in regards to the Lopilato brothers. You remember? And when he talked about that, it was a fight that broke. Where did that fight broke? At the same place, at the waterfall. So, side note, 11:57, less than 30 seconds. Chris Albert throws his hands, but I saw Caitlin throw her hands back. You know what, Lisa? Now that you say that, I'm gonna do something because I was gonna tell you that I saw, and I don't want to start any any whatever, but I didn't like that interaction between Caitlin and John. It's sort of like I don't know. So Caitlin throw her hands back, and then the rest exit door, and then leave, and then she comes back inside the bar. Yep, I noticed that too. So it's almost like if they were some sort of flirting or something. But there's no doubt that entire setup was Chris and Brian. Oh yeah, I mean, not only that, you can tell everybody's saying, well, why Chris? Chris was his friend. Chris wasn't his friend. The only reason that Chris Albert is saying that him and John were friends is because John is dead. And John cannot say anything else. But Chris waited until John died to run for selectman. Caitlin Albert was appointed to the AG's office in March 2022, right after John died. So it's like they didn't even wait 2 months, not even 2 months, and they were already appointed. Now, this is 11:58. Hold on. Let me see something. No, that cannot be. 11:58, 11:57. Whiskey. Great. Okay, here we go. I'm going to leave you there for a minute. I'm going to go open the door for him, okay? Wait. But I know exactly what you mean. That one. right here. So, whiskey. There, yep. Did you see it? It happened so quickly. Hold on. Like, where are you going? There we go. He's doing that to Chris. It's Chris who is looking at her. You see it? It's Chris who is looking at Caitlin when she throws her hands up. And then Chris stops Higgins from leaving. That's what happened there. He stopped him from leaving. And there, everybody's stuck. And this one is drinking something. She took something on her hand, too. Nicole Albert has a drink with her. Come on. And so is Brian Albert is also saying, like, moving his fingers over and pushing Nicole to go. And then Nicole goes back, trying to catch whose attention? Looks back at John. I don't know the situation. And I don't know if you guys caught that, but in trial, when when Kerry Roberts was talking to that lady, the lady that was interviewing her, she said, "Did they make you say the P word?" There is no doubt the entire setup was Chris. Yeah. Do you remember that during the interview that she said they made him say the P word? What P word was that? Pervert? Is that what it was? Yeah, she's reacting. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I just found it very odd because even earlier during the day, Caitlin was sort of like showing John her phone and there were pictures going on. And so was also Jen McCabe was taking pictures of John and her and Caitlin. Julie Albert was there too. So, but Robert said on that interview that to that lady, to the note my objection, she said that they made her husband say the P word. And she said, well, you didn't say the P word, did you? And he said, yeah. He said, I said, oh my God, you said the P word. So why would everybody asks, why would Karen use the word? Yeah. You haven't seen that interview? Okay, so the whole interview, which was more like a therapy session with that lady and Kerry Roberts, well, you couldn't tell what it was, whether it was a therapy session or it was a interview. She kept asking her questions and then answer the questions. It was awful. But I did a short version and just focused on the good parts, and it's like 53 minutes or so, and I put comments on it. But Nicole on the White Cloud. Yeah. Well, so she says it was White Cloud. Because in trial, she goes, oh, I was cleaning. I'm almost cleaning. Oh, I don't know. I would never recommend anybody to be a witness. Nobody's got your back. But then at the bar, did you see how animated she was with and flirting with Brian Albert and sitting between Brian Albert and Higgins? Did you see that? It's like all of these people are Gemini. They have like two personalities. One is what they want us to believe, that they're like, they can't kill a cat, they can't kill a rabbit, they can't kill a fly. But in reality, these people are monsters. Like, they're masters manipulators. It is amazing. And I hope they're listening because that's my opinion. Go ahead and sue me. But anyhow, there's something else that I wanted to talk about. And it's the fact that there's a dispute that was going on in a different show that Higgins lied about the text message. Whiskey, let me let the dog out. I'm going to have to put you guys on hold. Hold on. I'm not going to let you wait. I'm going to have to let him out for a second. So give me a second. Let's go. Okay. Well, that was quick. Okay, so there's a comment out there. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? There's a comment out there. I had to let them out. That apparently Higgins lied because when he read the text message in trial, he read the text message saying, "Where are you, John?" So somebody's saying that he lied reading his own text message rather than "Are you coming here?" So going back to the Matt Kelch call when he called the glarer and he kept insisting, those text messages are curated. Those were curated text messages. People keep forgetting that anything that has to do with text messages, the times that they were sent, to the times that they were read, any of that can be edited. You can actually go into the actual text message, like the text messages between Ali McCabe, "Are you here? I'm here. Come out. Okay, KK." All of that can be changed, can be edited, modified, all of it. So, okay, wait. Caitlin distanced herself from who? Okay, you guys need to stop me when. Okay, so side note. Did I read that one? Comes back inside the bar. Yeah, we saw it. And then there's no doubt that the entire setup was Chris. That's what I think. And I think Matt McCabe got caught in the middle because if you think about it, at the waterfall, at the surveillance in the parking lot, Jen is driving the Yukon. Matt is sitting next to her. It looks like Chris Albert jumps in the back of the Yukon. Chris Albert says in court, "I followed Brian Albert to 34 Fairview." But Brian Albert, Higgins, Nicole, Caitlin, those were the first people who left, right? So why would he say, "I followed Brian Albert to 34 Fairview" if he didn't go with Jen and Matt? Because if he ended up going and he didn't go with Jen and Matt, then he would have said, "I followed Jen and Matt to 34 Fairview," because Jen and Matt were the second group that left, right? I am absolutely certain that Chris Albert jumped on that Yukon and drove to 34 Fairview with Brian Albert and Jen McCabe. And you think it's odd. Kayling is totally reactionary. She throws hands. Yeah, you know, she acts Latin sometimes. Like she makes a lot of movements, like, and moves her hands and her hair and flips and whatever. But I heard that her best friend is Cuban American, so that could be it. It's a copycatting situation. Do you think it's so odd for Kevin Albert showed up that night and didn't really interact? He did interact with a lot of people. You need to go back to that video and look. He comes in and he tries to, first of all, there's something different about him because Brian Albert, he pokes at Brian. Brian sees him and then Brian grabs him and says, "Hey, bro, where are you going?" And sort of like recognizes who it is and pulls him and hugs him. So he keeps going all the way to the back and he starts talking to Chris. You need to understand, Brian is the oldest. Brian was born in 1968. Then there's a girl. Then after the girl, there's Chris. Then after Chris is Kevin Albert. So Kevin, Chris, and Jen are closer on age than Brian Albert is. So he goes all the way to the back. He starts talking to Chris. He walks in with somebody in that bar. He takes his jacket off. He goes to the bathroom. He comes back out and he comes back to the table where Brian Albert is and he starts talking to Brian and to Chris. It's just that he's not wearing the black jacket. He's wearing like it looks like a polo that has some sort of squares. I don't know if you've seen that. Is there justice? I don't know if you've seen that. So Lisa, what is that about? Tell me.
Sorry,
Nicole and her white glove.
Connecting to the internet. It
Uh-oh.
looks like an issue with the router and Echo device.
Something is happening. Let me see.
Unplug both of them.
Nicole
Plug
points.
the router back in.
And then
Wait 30
Caitlin
seconds.
distanced
Once the router is
herself
back on-
Okay, I see Caitlin distanced herself from. Yep. She was nervous. She knows she was very close to him the entire night. And they were, you know, exchanging, what do you call that? Selfies and taking pictures and whatnot. So the Albert Scolt oral outrage that John O'Keefe kept calling Canton PD, reporting the same dude and the same car on Meadows, and he was drug dealing related. I have a lot more than that. So I have I don't have Facebook, but somebody keeps every time that something shows up, somebody snatches pictures and sends them to me. And oh, I'm grateful for you. And somebody sent me let me see if I find it. Somebody sent me a screenshot of something, and it was somebody accusing somebody that they were saying that their kid died at birth, and the parent was saying, my kid didn't die, you kidnapped my kid. And I'm going, what the heck? Like, that was really frightening. So, but when I saw that, then I kept reading and I'm going, what the heck? Why am I getting this? Adam Dish, new clip out. Yeah, I am so praying for Mr. Getch to actually win so badly that you have no idea. Because, you know, anybody that is in that community right now, that's not living. That's actually surviving. Nobody ever, yeah, Charity, nobody ever has given any statement of what really happened to Craig Casey. At one point, I submitted a FOIA because I got a hold of a friend that was close to the family. And I submitted a FOIA to find out if there was any autopsy-related documents that I could grab on to figure out something. Nothing. So, Craig Casey, another body on the note. Yep. Right in front of John O'Keefe's house, too, because that's where John lived, was right in the corner of Meadows and Pleasant. And Chris, in that year, during those years, Chris used to live, let me see, 1, 2, 3. I think it was 4 houses down on the same side of the road on the townhouses, sort of like Cuddy Corner there. About, yeah, that's where he used to live. Look at Colin and Allie, seriously. They didn't text each other for almost a week. Colin was driving, Charity. He didn't need, remember? Nobody talked about how the heck did he get to 34 Fairview. He was probably drinking and driving. But then again, he was nearly 17, about to turn 18, and they were trying to cover for him. What happened to his dad when his dad was about 17, 18 years old? That's when that is when the whole Peter Berger situation happened. It's like history repeats itself. But then again, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You lead by example, right? It's like that was one of the biggest fears, I think, that somebody's kid was going to have to live the same destiny that the dad lived. But don't forget, these are not choices. This is not something that happened to us just because. These are the result, the consequences of actions that we actually have to be accountable for. Because if we're not accountable for our actions, who's going to be? Somebody else? It doesn't work that way. And that's what they're trying to do. If you're going to go X or Y, then you have to assume the consequences of Z and W of whatever happens if you decide to go X or Y way. That's how it works. So here's the thing. I found it. I found the screenshot. And it says, okay, I'm going to read it. I'm not going to show it, but I'm going to read it. Somebody on Facebook is saying, kidnapping is a federal crime. Is this the same Eddie Hernandez that Kevin's brother, Brian Albert, attacked? Why would they want this case to stay out of federal jurisdiction? Also, are you talking kidnapped? And the BPD report reads as botched abortion. That's what it says. Then somebody with the last name Dooling answers to somebody with the last name Bingham. The Boston police report about an abortion is an example of a real Boston police report to cover up a shame of kidnapping my child is the bogus Boston Police Department report Detective Eddie Hernandez gave to me, colluding with Kenton police officer Kevin Albert, refusing to sign the Kenton Police Department report in addition of changing the narrative. And then the Bingham lady answers to dueling and says it is very difficult to read the copies with white letters. I do see someone's social security number under the word signature. You should black that out before sharing that online with anybody. Some trolls run amok with it. That's what that's what they wrote. And I'm going, whoa. Right. The other day, Kerry Roberts keeps saying they are blaming 17-year-old kid. He was away. He was like days away from turning 18. And, if you committed crime at 17, you're an adult. So, yep. Yeah, he is very violent. And, he's arrogant. He's full of it. He's entitled. He thinks that he's the best thing that happened after Diet Dr. Pepper. And I say Diet Dr. Pepper because if I have to drink soda, that would be it. And that's what happens. That's the result of raising kids without you're raising. I'm sorry to say, but we can't continue to do this. We can't. I mean, our kids have to be also contributors to society. They have to hurt. They have to stop, pick up the trash. We got to let them know. If somebody litter or somebody fell from a car, it's like, oh, look, how did that piece of paper get there? Okay, do you see a trash can nearby? We need to teach them because we used to do that. Our parents did it with us. So why don't we continue to do the same thing with our kids? We cannot continue to raise these social parasites, which are totally incapable, cripple of commingling with a group of decent, respectful in society. I mean, it's just sometimes I love Dr. Pepper too. I really don't even, I don't know how to explain it, but I think it starts with us. And then if it starts with us, then again, we go back to the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because at 17, 18, what happened if Colin was involved and he was there and something happened where he pretended or tried to please his uncle and earn his respect, because his uncle is everything to this kid, right? He idolizes him. So if he tried to show off or pretend that he was tough and earn his tattoo or whatever it was, that was the right time to do it, right? Nobody tells me that Kevin Albert was not around. I know that Kevin Albert was around. He was at the waterfall. He was running around. And guess what? Kelleher never called him. He could have called Kevin Albert, who lived 4 or 5 minutes away from who? From Brian Albert, where it happened, who happened to be his brother. He would have called Kevin Albert to go find out what happened at Brian Albert. At the end of the day, Kevin Albert was what? Wasn't he like the fixer, right? So why didn't he call him? Did he know that he shouldn't call him? Why didn't he call Lank? Lank lived right around the corner, 0.6171 miles away from 34 Fairview. And Lank was also off, just like he was the night of the Lopilatos brothers situation. And Lank activated himself. That's why he showed up at 34 Fairview later on, right? Just like he did during the Lopilatos situation. It's like creatures of habit. So he ends up calling Gallagher, who lives in Milton, to drive all the way over there in his personal vehicle, not wearing any gear, drive from Milton to come to Canton and come see what happened. Something happened to John O'Keefe of One Meadows. How did he know that it was John O'Keefe from One Meadows? How did he know? I mean, all these cops have handhelds, right? Radios, but he called Gallagher first. I'm trying to find that phone call that I don't know if the phone call actually got edited or something, but I did hear a phone call back in the day where Gallagher calls Deborah and said, hey, Lieutenant Cole left me a message, something about I ended up going to One Meadows, and that portion either got edited or something. but I did hear him say that. He said John O'Keefe, Juan Meadows. Oh, okay, so it's not even at his house. And then, but he did say John O'Keefe, Juan Meadows, Lieutenant Kelleher sent me, or something like that, along those lines. That's the call I heard. And that call existed. And that was the first call that Kelleher placed. It was to Gallagher, not to Kevin, and not to Lang. Why not? If they lived few minutes away from you, why didn't you come out and see what was happening at 34 Fairview? Or did you already know, Lieutenant Kelleher? Actually, former Lieutenant Kelleher. Did you already know? So it's like, who do you guys think you're fooling? Like, no. And then the worst part is, like, how long? How long has it been since these people have been playing these games and getting away with playing the same little games? Like we're in middle school. Hey, you say this and I say that and I'll follow you. No. Just deny, question everything, ask everything, admit to nothing. Like we're in the Marine Corps and we're being held hostage in one of those countries, right? No. Nah, it doesn't work that way. So Chris and Julie taunting photos and Jones. Yep. Yeah. I'm sure John didn't like that. I heard that he put up his fence because of that. Because they kept going through his, it's like of respect. It's because they think and they feel that they own the town and they can do whatever they want. And that kind of behavior and attitude has to stop because they don't. They're people just like every other people. And they own whatever perimeter says on their deed, not anybody else's. They don't have any right to step on anybody's yard or cross through anybody's backyard or anything like that. That's very weird. Paul Gallagher made a clever mistake to get video dash cam. Like, yep. It's a terrible tactic. Yep. Yeah. It's like dodging and deceiving and gaslighting and all of that. But oh yeah, well, I also heard that apparently they are claiming that they didn't extract Jones' phone until 2023, but in reality they did a great extraction in 2022 because I found records of that. And then I also heard, and I sort of like click 1 and 2 together, that they were scavenging, hunting for Ring cameras and anybody who had surveillance around Dedham and what's his name? Dedham, Oakdale, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, because they were trying to see if they could catch anything. And everybody's thinking, oh, they're looking for Karen Reed's car. They're looking for the Lexus. I have a feeling that they were actually looking for the Yukon. They wanted to see if that Yukon was caught by anyone's camera anywhere coming down from 12th Country Lane. Oh, I don't know if you saw this, but now that he's in, let me show this real quick. Where's my triangle? What happened to the perfect triangle? Was it this one? Okay, I'm going to show this. They wanted to see if there were any Ring cameras around any of that area because I'm listening to something, but I'm not sure what it is. Because they wanted to figure out if the Yukon was caught in camera. That's what they wanted to know. But at the same time, if you think about it, what did Jen tell Lally that she wanted to see? Oh, she wanted to know what they had on her, right? She wanted to know what they had on her. What did Matt say? What was it that he said? He wanted to watch what do you call it? Good's camera. Why did he want to watch Good's camera? Because he wanted to confirm what time did they have him on the dash camera from Good's patrol car, right? To figure out what time was he first seen in that scene. Lang brought that phone back to 34 Fairview. Somebody handed it to Lang. It wasn't Jen. It wasn't Karen. And that phone was not underneath John. Who do you think handed that phone to Lang? Who did you think could not be seen around the same area where Jen would have been going if she would have gone from 12th Country Lane to 34 Fairview. Her and Matt would be going one after another. And at that time, her, Matt, and Carrie, right? At that time, everybody would have seen each other because, you know, there's only 3 cats on the road. So why didn't Matt go with Jen? Why didn't Jen go straight to 34 Fairview? Why did Jen insist to go back to John's house? Why is Carrie now saying, well, the second time that Karen called me, she tells me that are you guys listening still? Or did I lose you? Wait. Oh yeah, I gotta check. I have to check. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I hear noises back there. Somehow, some way. Was it Matt McCabe holding John's phone? Yeah, that's what I believe. That it was him. He had the phone. He had the phone, and he needed to bring it over to Lank, so it would be Lank to bring it over to 34 Fairview Road. That's what I believe. It's the only logical explanation. Because if you think about it, that phone was pretty much completely off the grid. Even Guarino says that the phone was, it became invisible. Nobody knew where the phone was. The phone was totally off the grid. So the only reason that can happen is when a phone is placed on airplane mode and then you put it on, what do you call it? On a Faraday bag. Now, if you think about it, the testimony from, and I'm going to try to do this on a video because it's a lot easier, like break down just whiffing and put it side by side with Green and then Guarino, and then we have to do Jessica Hyde. Hank asks Jessica Hyde, can you confirm that this whatever 227 whatever existed is deleted or is not deleted? And she goes, do you believe that it's deleted? And he's asking her straightforward. And she says, yes. The house long to die in the cold is deleted. And then he quickly asks her differently, if you don't put that video, if you don't slow down that video, you're not going to catch it. But when I slowed down that video and I heard what he asked her and I heard what she answered, I almost fell from my chair. Because it's like, there you have it. It did exist. So at that point, it's like, what else do you need? What else do you need? She's telling you that the original search, House Long to Die in the CKD, whatever it is, existed and it was deleted. She just said it. But he goes so quickly. So, I've come to a conclusion that there's several things that made this trial almost like impossible to sit through it for most of us, right? But almost for the jurors to sort of grasp and understand the entirety of it. Hold on. Where are you guys? Hello? Good boy. Hey, good boy. Good girl. Yeah, gotta go work. Gotta go. Okay. So the fact that you have somebody from Great Britain, he has an accent, right? You're asking him questions. You're trying to get to the bottom of it. The guy is going by the report he gave Guarino. He's telling you he's got something on the report, but he didn't include it on the presentation. At the same time, you're being told certain times, but then somebody else comes into place and talks about the same stuff that the other person spoke about, and she's using hamburgers, pizza, and sandwiches to make similar comparisons, and it looks like she's supporting and backing up the the testimony of the first guy, who in many ways portrayed to be credible, but everybody could tell he was full of shit and he was just bluffing everybody. So how do you come to terms with a Massachusetts State Police, which everybody expects, wants, and would love to believe that those are the type of people that have our backs? And here they are, between Guarino, Trooper Paul, Gallagher, the third guy, and everybody seems like they're just taking us for a ride to a circus, and there's not a point of return. How do we come to terms with all of that? They're dancing around timelines. They're hiding the true timelines. They're pushing the timelines to their, and then the first trial, it was one time. The second trial, it was a different time, right? They get away about changing their timelines, but they have no repercussions from the court. The judge doesn't have anything to say when it is them that are changing the times and pushing it towards a time that is convenient for them. But can you imagine that the defense would have dared to actually, let me revisit, we have a new finding and we're going to change it to this. We had two choices. The O'Hara, yes, Kevin O'Hara, the third team, which never took any pictures of anything. Did you hear about that? There was not a report either. But then, look, the jurors asked the judge, can we see the third team report? And there's no report, but there's no report, but there's no report. And the judge goes, there's no report. There's no, what report are we going to give away? Just say that they have everything they need. Why? Why don't you tell them that there's no cert report if that is the truth? Why don't you just tell them? Tell them the truth. That's what our jobs is. Tell them the truth. Sometimes, and I don't want anybody to take this wrong. Like, I'm never going to attack people. I'm going to attack situations. I don't hate anybody. I hate people attempting to lie or persuade or shift or change or trying to alter the things to make us feel or think something that it isn't. I don't like that. When Higgins said, "Where are you, John?" that was his first message. That's the message that he originally sent to John. Where are you? Different and from a different location from the message that Jen sent to John. Here, question mark, exclamation point, exclamation point. It was totally different. So was the location from where Higgins sent that message, from the location where Jen sent that message to John. Those messages, they're trying to push that those messages came in, they were read at 12:25, but they never specified that they were sent at the same 12:20 time. Neither Higgins or Jen or John were at the same place. John, for all Higgins knew, stood up Higgins, because John, before Higgins left at 11:57, 11:58, told Higgins that he was going to go to a next place that he never went. Higgins, Brian, Caitlin, Nicole, blah, 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 left 15, 16 minutes earlier, prior to Jen, Karen, Chris, Matt, and the second group left. 15. Higgins had been waiting for 15 minutes and John hadn't shown up yet, right? So at 12:20, Higgins sends a message. Where are you? At 12:36, Jen sends a message. Here? Why do you think Jen sent a message here and Higgins sent a message? Where are you? Because if anybody was the most likely to know where John was who? Higgins or Jen? It was Jen. Jen talked to him at 12:14. Where to? And Jen told her where they were going. At 12:14, Jen turns to Sherman. They keep going straight forward at 12:15, 51. And at 12:18, Jen and John are talking on the phone, right? That call is from within the Yukon. The Yukon is heading towards 34 Fairview and arrived at 34 Fairview at 12:18 or 12:19 in the morning. The call is still ongoing, and they're guiding John to where to go. And, before they hang up, Jen gets out of the car and runs to the house. It shows on her watch, but the phone is still going with the people that were inside the Yukon, which were who? Matt and Chris. So if we use the process of elimination, the people that were on that Yukon heard John when John opened up his Waze app and in less than 5 seconds searched for 34 Fairview, completed the search, then he finished the search, hang up the phone, and they knew how close he was from 34 Fairview. And that's why Jen sent here, question mark, exclamation point, because she knew how close was he from showing up. Different from where are you? Which coincides with nobody knows where you are, John. Right? Nobody knows where you are. But then everybody goes, well, why didn't Karen call Higgins? Why didn't Karen call? What? How do you know she didn't? Again, do we need to be told once again? Those texts were curated. Whatever was shown as texts and communications that transpired between Higgins and Karen were, and I'm gonna take a that was agreed upon, man. I mean, we cannot not be lucid enough not to be able to understand that those calls were curated. Whatever it was convenient for, whatever needed to be procured for law enforcement, that's what Higgins procured for law enforcement and turned in to law enforcement. And he went to the mezzanine, the ATF, FBI, lounge, whatever, got his friend to help him do the thing, got what he needed, and turned it in. He turned in what he considered relevant. And you ask 15,000 times why. He is law enforcement, right? He was working with the Fugitive Apprehension Unit of the U.S. Marshals from 2018 to 2022. He moved to Canton in June 2022. His assignment brought him to Canton, and therefore Berkowitz gave him an office at Canton PD. Still, he was working with who? With the Fugitive Apprehension Unit of the U.S. Marshals. What do they do? We Googled U.S. Marshals. Let me see. Agency 15. Let's see. U.S. Marshals. The U.S. Marshal Service was the first federal law enforcement agency in the United States to protect the federal judiciary and apprehend federal criminals. That's a short. What do they do? Contact us. Who we are. Let's see who we are. The U.S. Marshals is the Office of the United States Marshals was created in September 24, 1789, with the passage of the Judiciary Act by Congress. The U.S. Marshal Service, USMS, was established in 1969 to provide guidance and assistance to the U.S. Marshals throughout the nation. The U.S. Marshal Service is a bureau within the Department of Justice and receives direction from the Attorney General through the Director of the United States Marshal Service. The mission of the U.S. Marshals is to enforce federal laws and provide support to virtually all elements of the federal justice system by providing for the security of federal court facilities and the safety of judges and other court personnel apprehending criminals, exercising custody of federal prisoners, and providing for their security, transportation, blah, 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 blah. Presidentially appointed U.S. Marshals direct the activities of 94 districts, one of each federal judicial district, approximately 3,892 authorized deputy U.S. Marshals and criminal investigators, and 1,596 authorized administrative employees and detention enforcement officers. from the backbone of the agency, and blah, 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 and it keeps going. But when you are embedded between the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, any other law enforcement, right? CIA, if you are POTUS, FLOTUS, protecting the president, protecting the first lady, protecting whatever, it doesn't matter what you are, what you do, ATF, Fugitive Apprehension Unit, your job can change fairly quickly, right? Now, remember how we were being picky about Dever and Commissioner Cox? And I think that we're going to carry on with that one for another day, but that's a whole other piece of meat that we're going to have to dissect separately, because I have my own opinion about that. I'm open to listen to other opinions about that, but it's very hard for me to believe in coincidences. I think that everything happens for a reason. I think that there is a reason why that white Forescape, for instance, was not parked at 34 Fairview and was following that Yukon, look, and turns into Sherman and took the same route that the Yukon took to go to 34 Fairview. That means that there was not one single car at 34 Fairview at that time. And then there's Karen at 12:15:59. She missed the turn. She kept going. I wish she would have missed everything and just had gone home. But you know what happened with men? You can't tell men what to do. You can't tell women what to do either. If somebody tells you that regardless how drunk I am, I want to go, it is unbelievable. Higgins was brought in from the U.S. Army to ATF. Yep. And sometimes it's a normal transition, especially when you're getting out, because what they try to do is to find you jobs, like local jobs and security, intelligence, anything that requires muscles or former training in whatever. I wouldn't say intelligence but I don't know. I don't know. I have a very good theory of what happened. I think this whole thing is going to just explode once all these elements and all this evidence and all this hidden information comes to light. I think we're about to even be more mind blown than we have been before. But at the same time, remember that I said the same way that we are, I'm a one-string channel. I only have 2 or 3 cats, right? But at the same time, there are other people that also have their own channels and have their cats. And some of those cats, what they do is they jump up and go and check this out and check that out and listen to this and listen to that. We got to be careful too. So even though we are bluntly discussing our thoughts, our opinion under the amendments and the rights that we have, not that that we're taking it away from anybody else that believes the opposite of what we do, but with the same token, we also have to understand that this is a chess game. Sun Tzu, the art of what? Of war. We will never let the next person know what the next move is going to be. Because if we do, we will never win. And some of us win because we are on the right side of things, right? Some of us don't even have to have a dice hidden in our pocket or whatever, or an extra clue. Some of us win because we have the truth in our side. But even if that is the case, if we let everybody know what is going to be our next move, guess what? We got no game. So can you guys believe that it's been 3 hours and 15 minutes and 4 seconds, 5, 6, 7, 8? This is the longest one yet. And I think these are the most people that I've had. Have you anybody seen Blue 42 by any chance? I've never heard about that lady ever again. I hope that she's doing okay. She's the person that, I don't know if you guys remember, she used to wear a helmet. She fell from the roof. But anyhow, my gosh, Karen, you're a little late to the party. We're having a party. and we've been going for 3 hours and 15 minutes. We've talked about everything and anything. And I ended up, the first thing that I said was that I ended up doing a sort of like a video, and it turned out to be really cool, like showing the little maps and everything we did. But then when I went back to try to make it efficient time-wise, I realized that there's no sound. I didn't record any sound. It's pretty cool because it shows everything that I was doing as I was doing it, but there's no sound. You have seen her? I have seen her in a while. She had a sleep disorder. Yes, something like that. She was very funny. She used to call all the time. She was very funny. I really liked her. I see you, Josie. I see you. I don't know if you guys remember. Josie, I see you. It was really cool. I really liked her. But I don't know if I have all of my peeps on this side. I checked out my old channel earlier yesterday, and I noticed that I have 10 people there. But then I don't even know who those 10 people are. Like, I can't see them because this channel is not active. So I can't go back and see them. So I posted a note. It's like, okay, if anybody's over here, I don't know if you know, but I'm over there. So it's like letting people know that you have moved from one location to another without giving people addresses. But it's kind of funny. But anyhow, can you guys see each other there? Okay, so what I'm planning on doing is trying to pop in on Tuesdays and Thursdays because it seems safe and it seems doable for me. My busier days are, as far as my own crazy, chaotic life, are Wednesdays, sometimes Mondays, and Fridays. So I'm going to try to find sort of like a balance so I can continue to do this because I enjoy it. And I'm not going to stop until I find more clues and try to put this thing together. But I'm going to do a map the next time. And what I'm going to do in that map is I'm going to time it. And I'm going to post it on the community thing. And I would like that everybody sort of like prints it and makes revisions or puts in their 2 cents. And if they agree or don't agree or have a different version of events, mark it. And then we are going to try to come on another live and discuss it with those people who had something to say. So, and that way we can all sort of like do this together in a way. Yeah, she made it late. I have subscribers on my channel, so I don't even make videos. Yeah. I have been fluctuating. The day that I started out, I think, because I started out on the other channel, but then I changed to this channel. And then, it's a process because I guess most of the people that I had on the other channel, on the other 2 channels, there were 2 channels. One that I had 10 people, one that I closed out. And I don't know how many people I had on that one because I don't think I even noticed. So on the one that I had the 10 people, I put a note yesterday or today in the morning, and I let them know because I don't want to close it out and leave those people hanging. I have no idea how many people I left hanging on the other one. And then at some point, it started growing really quickly. Like I had 30, and then I had 40, and then I had 50. And it's almost like everybody was, oh, good, good, good. And everybody would send me things. So I knew who people were. There's a lot of people that I don't know who they are. And there's a lot of people that come from other channels that I knew. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, we got a ways to go. But don't forget, I think in many ways, it's like, I'm not going to do the drama thing. So I'm not going to attract those. I'm not going to take sides with people, and I'm not going to allow people to talk bad about other people either, because that's just not my thing. And like, there's so many situations that we can focus on. It's like, it doesn't serve me any purpose to start being negative and transfer that negativity to you guys and just talk negative about this, and that. And now we're going to focus on situation, and we're going to kill and scrutinize and dissect those situations. But I could care less about talking negatively about other people. It doesn't serve me anything, and it's just not who I am, and it's not what I want to be, and it's not what I want to transfer to you guys. So I'm going to keep it on the positive side. There may be a lot of people who rather have the drama, and that's okay. Thank God subbing up is free. But if somebody is not about like trying to find, they're not in this justice trail, then, then that's how it's going to be. So Lisa, Rubenette, Sherry D, you guys know, like I've known you for a while. Some of you, we have at least known each other for at least 2 years. Some of us 3, I would say. So, and if you're on X, you know that I have been using X as my AK-47 since this whole thing started. I was in Canton when this thing happened. We were at a hockey tournament and we got stranded. So we couldn't go anywhere. So soon after it happened, the news came about, and that's when they said that they had it on camera. And I thought, oh, wow. See, the best thing we did was stay in the hotel. How little did I know? So, we came back, left the area, and came back home. And I turned on all my my notifications for anything that was related to that, because I wanted to know what happened. And the rest is history. And since then, I have gone back to the area plenty of times, but to Canton about, I would say, at least 5 since then. So it's a small world, and we are all united by our own cravings of justice, and how much we dislike the cheating and the lying and the injustices. So it's a good thing. At least we found common grounds, and most of us who like the same thing. So it's going to be 6:30. It's time for you guys to stand up, move around. If JFK's on, go dance a little with them. But we need to start moving. We've been sitting. I've been up and down, but I've been sitting down for a good 15, 20 minutes this last time. We need to go make dinner and be healthy. I don't know what you guys are thinking about dinner, but whatever it is that you eat light, because in no time you guys are going to go to bed. You don't want to go to bed with your belly full. Eat your biggest meal in the morning. That way you can burn those calories and stay healthy. Don't forget your vitamin E, and I'll see you all soon. All right? Let me wait. Now that I know the little widgets and the music, let me see. Where is it? Here we go. Yay! Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. You guys are awesome. I'll see you all soon.